Yo, yo, yo. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Andrewcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your attention. Before we get into the content of today's episode, I definitely want to get into our sponsor that I've been so graciously gifted, Roast House Coffee, located in South Texas. Now, you may be saying, Andrew, I'm not a coffee person. You know, I like tea. I like drinking tea and honey and throw a little bit of milk in there. You know, I'm trying to live my life. Look, I understand you're trying to live your life, okay? I understand you may not be a coffee person. I wasn't either until I got me some Roast House coffee. Now, Roast House was gracious enough to send me Liquid Thunder. Liquid Thunder is a fan favorite in-house blend made by the Roast Coffee House. It combines the bold, smooth taste of dark roasted Colombian coffee beans with a subtle hint of chocolate to top it off. You can't beat it, bro. Let me tell you a little bit more about Roast House. The Roast House is not your ordinary coffee shop. They roast freshly imported coffee beans from all around the world, in-house daily, located in Brownsville, home of the brave, putting work in the street like a slave, Texas. Our mission is to bring the taste of the world into South Texas, one bean at a time. From popular flavors to in-house blends, we serve all natural, preservative-free coffee, espressos, teas, and other beverages. Homie, come on into our shop and enjoy a fresh cup of joe, or take some bean grounds home for your loved ones. So come get a fresh cup of joe, or come take some beans to go. You heard it here first. Take some grounds home for your loved ones to enjoy. And for those not living in South Texas, don't fret. Don't even worry about it. We will be launching an online store soon for coffee lovers across the world. You too will be able to taste coffee done right. Listen, folks, if you want some coffee, you want some high-grade stuff, you don't want to mess around with the Starbucks, right? You don't want to mess around with the Dunkin' Donuts. You don't want to mess around with the Wawa. You don't want to mess around with the McDonald's coffee, all right? You want to go straight to the house, the Roast House. Baby, Roast House Coffee. Look it up online. Look it up on Instagram. It's the newest. It's the latest. Thank you so much for sponsoring my podcast. Everyone enjoy today's episode. Love you. Episode 36. I'm with Ryan Acuna. Again, as always, Sheldon couldn't make it. He had to go save the world. The bat signal came up in the sky.
Yeah, it's a busy world for Sheldon, but
yeah,
try to hold it down while he's away.
Exactly. But in his place, we have none other than my man Bradley coming through smooth. He just stepped out of his car, man. Listen.
Let me Sixers shirt. He's feeling good. He's feeling Philadelphia.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't seen this guy in like a year. But it's excellent seeing him right now, dude. How are you?
Very good. How are you guys?
I'm
good. I mean, it's nice to meet you for the first time. I'm sorry if I'm imposing on your talk.
No, it's fine. I like a third person.
All right, good.
Mixes it up, definitely.
I saw on Instagram the other day. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
That you sold this house in New Jersey, and it was $300,000, but it looked like a mansion. So like the foyer was like. It was huge. It was like the whole center of the house, right?
Yeah.
And then basically there's like this room around it. And I like how you've been posting the properties that you've been selling on your Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to sell that at only $300,000?
Well, we didn't sell it yet.
Oh.
It's a new listing.
It's on the market.
Yeah, we just put it on the market. So, I mean, if you put this in maybe around here or like in North Jersey, it could probably be close to $1 million.
That's what I was saying. I was looking at it like, dude, that's intense.
Yeah.
So $1 million house potentially that you sold for $300,000. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, depending on the location, You know what I mean? I'm in the process. We're under contract of a home actually right around the corner from this one. It's for like a little over 400,000, and this, you know, same boat, it would probably be worth $1 million if it was up north. You know, just because of the location, you know, the area, the businesses coming in, the jobs that they have in that area. You know, just not carrying it.
So how long does it normally take to sell a house like that?
Basically, the average sales price in my area is like 130,000.
Okay.
So, you know, once you get into 300,000-400,000, you're really narrowing the market. So this one took close to a year to sell. You know.
And how many people how many potential buyers normally do you have for that kind of house?
Yeah, for that one, only a couple. We only showed it like 3 or 4 times throughout that entire period. So yeah, I mean, you know, people don't have as much money around there. The people buying it, it's actually a son and a mom. So they're both consolidating, they're both selling their house and then moving into this big one. So that might give you an idea, like, you know, the average person that might be able to afford something like that around here can't afford that down where we're at. There's just not as much opportunity and stuff like that where the money's just not coming in. So the affordability down there isn't as high. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And another thing is the property taxes. You know, around where we're at, that house, the $400,000 one, it's like $11,000. Or if you move that up here or in North Jersey, you're talking like $30,000 property taxes.
Big jump.
So, yeah, you're pretty much buying a small car every single year.
Well, New Jersey, there's just more tax all around, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that how it works?
It has the highest tax rate in all of the United States.
That's crazy, dude. Why?
And who decides that? Just the government?
I guess. I don't really know. I haven't looked into that, how all that works.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. So everyone, I mean, I'd say close to half of the people I talk to who are looking to sell their house are looking to move out of state.
Yeah.
A lot, like in the Carolinas and stuff like that, because you'll find $1 million house, it has $1,000 in property taxes.
Dude, that's what I want to do. Like if you move to Texas right now, like $300,000,
Yeah.
you buy yourself like a baller
Yeah,
crib,
man.
Yeah, with a
huge.
lot of land too.
nuts.
Not
Yeah.
just a nice house, a lot of land around it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, I don't know. That'd be like my dream come true, honestly. But that house wasn't that bad, and $300,000 isn't that bad. But I feel like when I saw a picture of it, it was like in the middle of the woods. Like, is it location?
No, I mean, this is probably one of the best neighborhoods in the city that it's in.
Are you allowed to disclose where that is?
Yeah, it's in Millville.
Okay.
So Millville
How far is that from New York?
from New York,
Yeah.
probably a couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's deep in. All right.
But only like 50 minutes from Philly.
Gotcha.
So, you know, it's not that bad of a commute. But yeah, this one, it's just so unique. It was hard to really put a price to it. It was like inspired by like a barn kind of look, as
Yeah,
you
it
could
did
probably
kind of
tell.
look like a saloon, kind of.
Yeah.
Or like a almost like a Texas Roadhouse like steakhouse, like if it was a house,
Yeah.
like, for people.
Yeah, it's like you walk in the middle and there's this like center gathering area where it's like
Right.
it goes in and there's like a fireplace where you all gather in, and then all the rooms, like the bedrooms, are all on the side of the house. So the middle, you know, goes up 60 feet and it's just a bunch of kind of wasted space, because
Yeah.
if you're heating and air conditioning that, you know, it's just all wasted space essentially.
But at the same time, I feel like that'd be great for just a communal space. You know, like everyone has to go in the center to get anywhere in the house, and that I feel like that could be great for, you know, family time and bonding, and just, you know, making sure there was a community inside the house.
Yeah, the current owner said they've had parties before where they had like 120 people in
Wow.
the house.
How many bedrooms?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I was at in Syracuse. I went to my my dad's cousin's place, and he was this corporate lawyer that closed a big case, and he got to retire early. Like, he retired, I think, like late 40s, and I'm probably fuzzy on the details, but they got like 3 or 4 acres of land, dude. Like an outdoor tennis court, basketball court. They got a pool. They have their property, like their actual house, is separated into 2 sides, so like the main suite and then the in-law suite. So that's 7 bedrooms total. They have an indoor gym, They have a movie theater in their house.
Wow.
Like it's
A
not
movie
like
theater.
it's not like the movie theater like AMC, but like it has the reclining chairs. There's like 3 rows of them. There's lights along the side like there would be at a movie theater, so you can turn all the lights off and like leave. There's like a huge projector. They have air hockey. They have like the one kid's like a shoe head that lives there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got just like a room full of shoes. Like it was nuts. But when they bought it during like a kind of like a housing crisis like drop. So they got it like a really good price. Like it was like $1 million, and they got it for somewhere like a little over 700,000. I think that was the detail.
Wow.
And like it was a mega steal. But you know that guy's whole job, like my dad's cousin's husband, whole job is to, he said, like, now that I'm retired, like I'm just the chief of this house. He's like, I just walk around and just like make sure everything's in order. And like, dude, he uses it all day just because we were talking about family time, like just to bring family over and just to bring people over. It's like the house like pays for itself because like they're always the entertainers, and it's got balconies and stuff. Like you can look over at the swimming pool and stuff. Like it's just insane, man. And I thought to myself, like, wow, the person who sold this house, like they must have just been like so happy because it's nuts. Like it's definitely an intimidating house to first off buy, but also just like to maintain. Like it's a lot of property, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people look at houses as like an asset, but you know, I really think of it as like a liability, because once you buy it, you have your mortgage, you have to pay every single month, and then God forbid if something breaks, and then it just keeps adding up. You know, a heater breaks, there's $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah,
you know,
I think we touched on this a little bit before. But that means that like renting is a better way to go.
I mean, it all depends. Like I remember in the last episode I said that I wouldn't suggest buying like a single family home.
That's what you said. Now I want to see if that changed.
I want to clear that up a little bit. I still believe that, but depending on kind of what your situation is.
Right.
You know, I think people our age, we shouldn't buy a single family home. I definitely think with having student loan debt and all that kind of stuff, you know, jumping into a single home, it's just not the smartest way to go.
Just increasing your debt.
Solely
Exactly.
only going off of the student loans argument. Like if you have student loans, you should not buy a single home.
Not even that. I just think to get your financial foundation jump started early, I think buying a single family home isn't the way to go. I think, say, like a duplex or a triplex is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that. Like, I feel like for me at least, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the same way, is that I don't even know where I'm going to end up, like long term. I don't know where I want to cement myself. And kind of like you said, buying in that is not necessarily an asset by liability. I see that as a liability in that if I were to invest in something like that before I'm sure where I want to, you know, cement myself, then that's just another barrier for getting wherever I want to go, is having this under my name.
Yeah. And I mean, of course you can always, like, say if life brings you somewhere else, you could always rent that house and then make some money off of it. But it's kind of like what my parents went through recently. They have a couple single family homes that they own and they rent out. And, you know, when that person leaves, now you're stuck with a couple months where you just got to pay for that house. You know what I mean? Where if you have multiple doors under one property, so like a duplex or a triplex, at least you'll have someone
Oh, I see what you're saying.
occupying
Okay.
one of your properties at any given time.
So is your argument for a duplex or a triplex solely for the fact that if you weren't to live there and you wanted to rent it out instead, you'd have multiple options for having people live there, and in turn getting rent off of that?
I don't understand.
So you're saying that people shouldn't buy, our age shouldn't buy single household, you know, houses, and you're asking for a duplex or a triplex instead.
Yeah.
Right. My question to you is one of your arguments so that if you say wanted to move somewhere else, wanted to do something else that didn't involve that house, you could at least have that to rent to other people, and you would have multiple people that you could rent to. So if you ran into that problem of having to, you know, fill a space, you would still have these other, like, one or two other, like, units to go off of.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah, that's kind of my thought. But also it's like just having multiple doors, multiple people bringing you in income, and then you can use that to then one day buy a single family home, you know, one that you want. So if you have a duplex and then after a year you want to move out and buy a single family home, now you have two people bringing you in, $1,000, $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
Where one can go through that mortgage, and then one can pay your mortgage for your single family home that you then purchase.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think.
So you see as compound interest almost, like
Yeah.
you're building these financial gains that can in turn get you what you want in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
This bigger, better house.
Exactly. And of course you can do the single family route and, buy a single family home, live in that, and then buy another one. But it's just much more risky if, something happens with that tenant. Like, just a quick example, one of our renters, they started getting into drugs, got a habit, and then stopped paying their rent. So then the eviction process to get them out, it takes a couple months. So now they're living in your house for free.
That's crazy. No, because my dad's a general contractor and he works in like project units all the time. And fixing them up basically. And that's something he talks about a lot, is how ridiculous it is that people do that purposely. They know that it takes months to be evicted, and they know that under the court of law they have that time, so they'll just pay nothing for months and months and months, know you can do nothing about it, and then when they leave, the place is trashed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called like squatters' rights. Like they're squatters, and for some reason they have rights, and they can, especially if they have like young children and stuff like that. I mean, they're more protected than anyone else,
That's true. I was going to say, like, America's the most lenient place, but you see why when it comes to kids. Like, those kids have nothing to do with what's going on, and it's unfortunate, man.
Yeah. But, I mean, the parents just got to keep accountable,
Right.
But, of course, we can't do anything about that because of those laws. But, yeah, I mean, pretty much my stance buying, say, a duplex or something like that, I just think kids our age, they don't really think about the future. It's very instant gratification and stuff like that. I think we should start thinking about the long game and buying a duplex now so we can start having some residual income.
Yeah.
So we're not only depending on our job to bring in, the meat and potatoes.
But do you think that's exclusive to our generation?
No, I mean, I think anyone can do it. I just think it's best for us to get a start. Because, I mean, a lot of my friends, they want to buy a house and stuff like that. But, they're not really thinking long term. They want to buy this house and live in it for 10, 15 years. But it's like, bite the bullet now. Get a couple properties under your belt before you turn 30. And then now you have these properties that are going to pay for what you really want to live.
See, that's ambitious. Before you turn 30, that's pretty ambitious, man.
Yeah,
I like
I
that,
mean,
though.
it's possible. Like,
No, yeah.
Is that your plan?
I'm not talking it down.
Yeah, I mean, my plan, I want to buy a duplex by 2019, so next year, hopefully.
That'd be
and
sick,
then
bro.
just rinse and repeat,
Yeah,
hopefully
man.
have 3 by the time I'm 30.
That's not. What area are you looking at first?
A little north from me, there's this town, it's called Pittman. It's like right outside of Glassboro, which is where Rowan University is.
Oh, that's a great spot.
Yeah.
Anywhere near a university, man, you're gonna make some money.
Yeah, and there's like a hospital coming up, so like the area's growing. So I mean,
Yeah, they're partnered with Cooper, right?
Are they?
Rowan University. I'm
they
pretty
might
sure they're
be.
partnered with their medical school.
Mhm.
So that again, that's a great location to even think of having. Yeah.
yeah,
They're just going to throw down these students, huh?
yeah.
Just throw down
well,
these
I don't
students.
know. I mean,
Do me a favor, just pull the mic a little bit closer
Okay.
here, man.
yeah.
Sorry. There you go. You're good.
I mean, I wouldn't really want to rent to students because you know how they are. We were them a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
man.
I'm not trying to do
that.
yeah.
Security deposit.
holes in walls. And
Bro,
like,
yeah. I mean, Brad and I, and we talked about this last episode. We were roommates in college for a little bit, and I remember we we used to climb up on the roof of our place, but I had the fire escape ladder that used to be in my brother's room from childhood. I took it to college, and we I forget how we got up there. Like we stood up on a chair or something.
You one of the ladder boys?
We opened up, but it wasn't like it was a rope ladder, dude. It was the
Right.
sketchiest ladder.
I
ever.
still
rope
have it
ladder?
at my house.
Oh,
Because
did
you
you?
forgot it at the apartment. I took it.
Take it,
Wow, you
man.
got a piece of history,
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
God forbid, seriously, God forbid, there's a fire. You have that with you. You can escape. But,
There you go.
but dude, we used to go up on the roof and throw stuff at people. But one time, we went up, and I think like we stepped too hard, and we stepped the ladder like into the side of the wall.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
because of that hole, like I remember JB was like, he was like, I'm gonna fix it, and I was just like, it's kind of high up. and we ended up getting our security deposit just taken from us, and rightfully so. But your point.
I got like $5 back in security deposit. It's like, why even give that?
I was gonna say, I feel like those college realtors, they take us for a ride sometimes. And if you have outside info, let me know, or insider info rather. But like I just feel like my dad, we had holes in our wall when I was in college. When I lived my sophomore year, I lived with 5 other dudes. Things were gonna break. But my dad's also a general contractor, so before the lease was up, he came back and patched everything, and I mean everything. Brought new drywall, cut it out, put it back in, plastered it.
That's a boss,
whole shebang. Yeah, he's the fucking man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He was a big save, but despite all that, we still didn't get our security deposit back. They said that things were broken, things weren't clean, even though I know for a fact we spent the whole day cleaning. He fixed all the problems, but I think they just know that a bunch of college kids aren't going to want to fight it.
Exactly.
So there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, because I remember when we first moved in, we had to fill out that sheet of like everything that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Be honest, did you read it?
With the house.
Did you read the fine print?
No. But it wasn't really like any like legal stuff.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the contract.
No, not the contract.
no.
Like before you move in, you have like a list of like everything in the house,
Right.
like railings.
Oh, I
walls,
see.
and you
Yeah,
mark
yeah.
like
Yeah.
how the condition is.
Yeah,
and
what a
then-
bullshit fucking worksheet too.
Yeah.
Like
they just trash that and like it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be messed up.
You know
they use it as their
either.
toilet paper.
You know it's
Yeah.
BS.
It's messed up.
It's BS when you're reading the paper and like it's asking you to check stuff that isn't in the house.
Yeah,
It's
oh
like-
my
it's
God,
like,
yeah,
how-
yeah.
How's the balcony? It's like there's no balcony. It's like this is just something you printed out online, But no, I totally understand that. And a similar thing happened when I moved in, not with a security deposit. When I moved into the apartment that I have now in Philadelphia, I moved in with 2 of my friends. When I moved into that apartment, the people before us didn't clean, so they didn't have a cleaning service come in. So the house was quote unquote dirty, and ours was like that too. I remember before we moved in, like they had the cleaning service. They didn't send the cleaning service in, so we had to clean ourselves. But the way that they did it was, okay, these people obviously aren't getting their security deposit back. The house is dirty, but we'll take $200 off X month rent. If you guys want to get a cleaning service, then that's your $200. Or if you want to clean yourself, we'll just take $200 off. And so, and we were, I mean, I'm not like a young kid, but it was just last year when I moved into this place, and it was kind of obvious that like this is our first like property that we were renting out of school. So yeah, some people take you for a ride, but some people make deals with you. But I'm pretty sure you're right, man. Like the Temple realtors, there's a lot of them. I'm not trying to talk smack on them.
Yeah, Temple, I don't want to make you think we're only targeting your realtors.
I think
but
every college town
Yeah.
is like, it's time to make a buck off these kids. And it's
Yeah.
smart. It's
Kids
smart.
have no idea.
yeah.
No idea. Dude, I had no
He's
idea.
fucking
going
licking
into
his
it.
lips. He's rubbing his palms
Yeah, I
together.
mean, there's definitely money to be made, like for people like me,
Right.
but now,
So-
like in hindsight,
So, I mean, do you have any advice for these college kids out there that are making their first signature on a renting deal, or what the fuck would you say? Like, a lease?
Yeah.
Lease.
Lease.
Thank you. A lease.
Nice word.
Yeah, love
I
that
don't know.
word.
Maybe have your parents handle it. Honestly, I mean, because I had no idea what was going on when we were in that situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it 100. Like my mom handled all that stuff. JB, our good friend, he was kind of like the dude of the house that would like collect the bills and like put like when the bills were due on the fridge and stuff. So like I had like not a lot to do with it later on. Now I know all about it because I handle all that stuff myself. But yeah, I would
Big
just
boy now.
But I see what Brad's saying. I think it's saying like he's saying, when you're in college, you got a little time to be irresponsible, like it's never too early to learn, but I'm with you, man. Like let your parents take care of it if you have the luxury of doing it,
Yeah, I mean,
So.
I don't know. You got so much going on at that point, and
It's
that's the
seriously,
last thing
man.
you want to worry about is what this
Rent
contract
money, yeah,
says.
definitely.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
It's
what's
like the
contract?
first time you're seeing a contract. It's
Ugh.
like, nah, don't mess with that stuff.
Exactly, man. But yeah, that's cool. I hope that you can get the duplexes, man. That's kind of the secret to getting wealthy. We talked about this before. I think we did touch on Rich Dad Poor Dad in the last episode that we did, but that's one of the key tenets of that book. And I know you're a big self-improvement reader, and I know you are as well, Ryan. And Rich Dad Poor Dad's basically like all rich people who are wealthy. The way that they got there was they have a source of income that is coming in that they don't have to be present in that place to generate. So they could be working a job while there's a machine, in this case, a duplex being rented out, making money for them. And that's how some people were with Bitcoin miners. They had Bitcoin miner machines. So like, I had a resident assistant that I worked with senior year who had a Bitcoin mining machine that
who's this?
every hour. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Every hour.
You don't want to put them on
I don't want
blast.
to put them on blast. But like, because when you're a resident assistant, you don't pay for electricity. You don't pay any bills. So he had this thing plugged in every day. It was a Bitcoin miner machine that had an algorithm, and every hour it would make 25 cents in Bitcoin.
Wow,
you
that's a
just keep
lot.
that plugged
That's
in.
a lot of
You
Bitcoin.
keep that plugged in all day,
Wow.
every day. But this was kind of the time where people were like, Bitcoin, like,
Well, yeah.
is it a thing? Now it's like, dude, if you sold your Bitcoin, like, you would have got a lot of money, you know? But he had,
I mean, there was that point. Was it last year that Bitcoin was like $8,000 a
Yeah,
coin? Like,
that's what I'm
I
talking
think
about.
no, it went up to like 16, 17,000.
yeah.
Something ridiculous. And now it's kind of falling back, and everyone's kind of sleeping on it again.
Yeah.
Not sleeping on it. They know what it is, but
The hype just
they're
died.
yeah, exactly. I think I mean, with Bitcoin, they're worried about I think they're afraid of the security, like the verification process. And that's why it hasn't gained traction yet. Like, it's like who ensures that this has value. So it's kind of died down again. And I don't know. I have a few friends that are like obsessed with Bitcoin. I think everyone has that friend that is just like obsessed with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And like is like it's like a Rain Man with it. Like all the math's going in their head. About what the fuck's going on
it's
there.
the
Like,
idea of cryptocurrency, man. Like, people get really fascinated with that. What's your opinion on that, man?
I've always been interested in it,
Yeah.
but I just haven't had the time to really dive into it.
Right.
I do have, the couple friends that are just all about it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think it's something that's going to blow up in the future or be, a source of transactions and stuff like that. But I just haven't had the time to really dive into it.
Same.
I've been wanting to, though. I mean, I think there's something there. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's actually this one app my friend told me about. It's called Sweatcoin. And
I heard about this.
Have you heard about it?
Please explain this.
is that just a derivative of Bitcoin?
see, I think they're trying to become a cryptocurrency, but at this point, it's like this app where it tracks your steps, and based off of how many steps you take, it gives you sweat coins, and then you can buy things from their marketplace that that I guess they're sponsors and stuff like that.
So is this free money based off sponsorship? Like basically, that people are giving them money for sponsorship,
Yeah.
and then they're giving you free points.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to spend your sweat coin on those things
Yeah.
by walking and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and they said they eventually want to turn it into a cryptocurrency. And then I don't know if it'll stay the same where, you just walk and then you gain sweat coin and then that's a cryptocurrency. I'm not too up to all that, but, just keep it in the background of your
Yeah.
phone. And I've been running a lot recently, so it's like just add up.
Do you use it?
I haven't bought anything, but I do.
What
I've
you've been
accumulating
browsing
the
though,
sweat
right?
coins.
You've been browsing at least.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah.
looking at?
Well, the marketplace they don't have too much just
Yeah.
yet because I feel like it's pretty new. You can get like audiobooks, sunglasses, coffee.
Oh, it's not even
But-
like exercise
No,
related.
I mean,
I was thinking
some
like
things
jump
are.
ropes.
Yeah,
and-
no, some things are.
It's
I
like a
guess.
Fitbit, man. It's like a Fitbit, but instead of like counting your steps, like it brings the steps towards like a
Count
certain
your
amount of money.
coins.
Yeah, well, kind
Well,
of.
it counts
right.
your steps and converts them into
Exactly.
coins.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
And I had some friends that used it, and they were big on it, and I immediately trashed it because I was like, if that's the case, if you can walk around and generate the whatever I was about to
The
say,
sweat.
Bitcoins, the sweat coins, right? If that's the case, man, then like these must be like Chuck E. Cheese prizes because there's no way if everyone was like walking around using it. So I guess I was a non-believer, and they were just
Yeah,
like,
man.
"Oh,
Don't talk
bro,
bad about Chuck E. Cheese prizes.
Bro, I'm not even talking bad about Sweatcoin, but I was just looking at it with like very skeptical eyes because I was just like, no, because everybody would use it and they would get a whole bunch, and then you could just gain a system like you could put your phone on like some sort of vibrating machine and just simulate.
What kind of vibe?
Yeah,
What kind of vibe machine you talking
Use your
about?
imagination. You could put anything that like vibrates, maybe even a PlayStation 2 controller, and just like hack it so that it's just and you just put your phone on it and it just gates up all these steps. Like, oh, I was just stepping a lot today. So I was like, people would find a way to game it. So I don't know. I don't trust it.
They
yet.
link it to the GPS, so when you do try to do that kind of stuff, it won't count
Oh, wow.
those steps.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
That's
that-
a nice solution.
They,
That's
they have
pretty
some
boss.
sort of algorithm. I'm not sure.
All right, that's pretty boss, man. But I've never heard anybody that bought anything off of it yet. So if you do buy something off of it, let me know how that goes.
I mean, they do have like bigger prizes. Like an iPhone 8 or
That's kind of a big prize.
like
Are we talking? Oh, so all right, let's.
You must have to walk your whole
That's
life.
what
I was
to
gonna
get
say
an iPhone 8,
how
bro.
how many points are we talking
yeah,
right now?
I mean that's
You
like,
got to walk from here to South Africa next week, bro.
pretty much. But see, there's a huge catch because there's this one guy I follow, Cameron Haynes,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Joe Rogan friend.
I know
He
Cameron
runs a
Haynes.
marathon
Yeah.
a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if he had this, he'd be making so much money.
Yeah, let's
bro.
shout him out. Do you know about this?
But see, so there's a catch with Sweatcoin. It's like I have the free version, so you're only allowed a certain amount of steps per day, and then you got to pay up.
Oh, it sounds like pay to play.
Yeah, to unlock
Ah,
more
what
steps.
bullshit is that?
Now I don't walk that much
Yeah.
where I even need to pay.
So I was gonna say, so you are paying for these products basically, if you get
I
the
guess so,
premium
yeah.
version.
It's kind of like going to an arcade to win prizes, where it's like, why don't you just buy them?
Sweatcoin, you're sneaky, man. Look at that.
They're a little sneaky, but I'm gonna keep the free version and just rank up these free points.
Brad's
well,
feeling-
but how long is it gonna take you?
Brad's
Like
feeling
5
It's gonna
years?
take- I mean, I have like 70 sweat coins now.
Hey.
I can buy like some shades, or like something.
We're sitting over here on 0. My man's got
Yeah.
70.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Get yourself an audiobook or something.
I may be feeling it, man.
Treat
If
yourself.
Brad's feeling it, maybe feeling it. But speaking of audiobooks, man, what books have you been reading lately?
So last year I was so hardcore on reading. I read like 24 books.
I remember that.
And
remember
so
that.
this
That's
year,
great.
I feel like I burned myself out because this year I've only read like a couple books.
Well, you're working, man.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But I still have to be more disciplined on that.
Mm-hmm.
But
24 books in a year, that's pretty impressive. Most people don't even read one.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
true.
think it's like the
They
average.
post it on Instagram. They say, like, they sit on their couch and they post that they're doing it, and then they'll read a
Yeah.
page and they'll put it back.
Exactly. I read the stat. I don't know how they would even, quantify this, but they said the average person reads one book a year, and of that one book, they don't even get past the first chapter.
Whoa. Not even the
So,
first chapter?
people
I
aren't
believe
reading.
I believe that though.
That's so not me. I get really freaked out if I don't complete something. Like I put a bookmark and I'm like, I gotta finish it. Even if I don't like it.
So
I
what
just
have you
to
been
finish
reading?
it. I've been reading comic books, but like
No, that still counts though.
still
That still
something.
counts.
But I mean, like I read comic books all the time. I made a whole list of stuff that I've been starting to read. The one is the Pixar book, the book about how like Pixar. I try to read like a chapter of that like every month.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a Pixar biography where they talk about how the company started, Steve Jobs' involvement with it, the circular table that they use as opposed to like the rectangular table to enforce collaboration. Like little elements of it I remember, but I read it sparingly. I don't sit down and read it all the way through. So it's always something animation or cartoon related with me. But like I read, but not like I've never done that. Like 24 books in a year, like that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot, and I'm trying to get back onto it to read like 10 pages a day. And
Yeah.
just stick to that, and then progress from that.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
It's
but
doable.
one good book, really good. I think everyone should read it. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. So
Here you go.
I'm gonna go look it up. I'm gonna
yeah, look her up, man. So
You
yeah, I
finished
mean,
it? You finished it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just finished it recently. Ryan Holiday, he's been like one of my favorite authors recently. He has another one called The Obstacle is the Way, and like all these like huge sports teams and stuff like that, they've all read it. And
How'd you
stuff
hear
like
about this one?
So I was into this author Robert Greene,
Okay.
The 48 Laws of Power.
I know that one.
Yeah, so like Ryan Holiday's mentor was Robert Greene.
Okay.
Like getting into the game, and then he branched off and started doing his own stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, the ego is the enemy. It's just all about the ego and like how our ego, controls us in all different situations, like failure and success, and like in our pursuits for success.
You mind if I read the Wikipedia background?
Go for it.
Having previously ridden with external obstacles in his book, The Obstacle is the Way, Holiday sought to answer questions about what to do when the biggest obstacles are internal. In the prologue of the book, he explains how finding early successes led him to the realization that ego can cloud ambition and hinder personal and professional growth, particularly when accomplishments are tied to self-worth. Do you think that's a pretty fair synopsis of what the book's about?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess so.
No, I feel you, man. Ego is that's a killer for everybody.
Yeah, and he pretty much just takes stories throughout history and like how people have, either used their ego for good or to just kind of break them apart. You know what I mean?
How do you think it's allowed you to look at your ego?
I mean, it just like you can take all these stories and just draw commonalities with your own life. You know, I mean, through like the successes I've been having, because I do find that I'm very emotional, and that's not something you can be.
I've never got
in
that from
business.
you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I might not show it, but
Yeah.
like inside, I definitely am.
All right.
So real estate, it's like so up and down, and like every day is something new. So I've been trying to learn how to just control my emotions through the day to day. So like if something really good happens, I'll get extremely happy, and then I'll say, well, I can brush off the other things I was supposed to do because I got this one accomplishment for the day. Where it's kind of like just taking it with a clean slate, just accepting that accomplishment and just moving on and doing what you should be doing. On the flip side, when something bad goes wrong, then you let that just weigh on you, and then you don't do anything for the rest of the day because now that negativity is weighing on you. So it's kind of like trying to remove your ego in those situations and just sticking to what you should be doing.
It's interesting. It reminds me of a video. It's a video on YouTube I saw about Kobe Bryant. And it was a short one. It was only like a minute or so long. And I think it was taken from an interview he did. But basically the whole point of the video was keeping what he called even keel.
Yeah.
If something really bad happens, don't lose your cool. If something really great happens, also don't get too into that moment. Never be too attached to a moment. Just stay even keel, stay cool throughout the entire thing, and keep moving.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like what this guy was trying to say.
Exactly. And I got two things from that. So there's this one book, it's called Relentless by Tim Grover. So this dude, Tim Grover, he was the athletic and personal trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade,
Really?
like all these great people.
That's awesome.
He was Michael Jordan's trainer for like 15 years. And he wrote a book called Relentless, and that goes over his 13 principles from what he's learned from like Michael Jordan, stuff like that, to how to develop that kind of mindset. So that's an amazing book. I think I read that this year.
That's
too.
cool. I read one similar about Michael Phelps' coach.
Okay.
It was kind of the same thing, like what makes a champion, or like what their routine was and how he thinks it helped Michael progress to what he is today. And it was basically, I think the main point he tried to explain was that you have to stay focused on it. Like you have to be so concentrated on it that becomes your routine. And whether you're having a good or a bad day, you're practicing it over and over again.
Exactly.
It's not about whether you're having a good or bad day. It's just about continuing to keep that streak going and improve.
Yeah. And to touch on that, like even keel thing, I think a story you'd like, I heard it recently. It's kind of like, like the Bruce Lee movies where
Oh, of course
you
I'm
got a
gonna
fight
like
scene. You got the fight scene, and you have like 20 guys in the circle, and
Yeah.
Bruce Lee's in the
It's
center.
the Japanese school, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to
So there's always one guy coming at you. He attacks that one guy, and then he always returns to center. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like taking that analogy is whenever something comes at you, good or bad, you attack it
Yeah.
with the tools you have, and then return to center,
Yeah.
and then attack the other things. Always returning to center to keep that even keel.
That's a dope analogy. That whole principle that you just described, even keel, is at the center, the core belief of Buddhism, which is, it's kind of a very black and white philosophy, but it's also one that has, it can be kind of controversial. So the whole idea behind it is to not attach yourself to anything, right? Because if you attach yourself to a good moment, you're guaranteed to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And if you attach yourself to a bad moment, you're always going to be down forever. So the way that you go through it all is that you try your best to not be attached to anything. And like, it's hard because like you say, humans are emotional beings.
Yeah.
So we're prone to being emotional, but the practice that not being attached is the greatest. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. Actually, I mean, for a Dragon Ball Z reference, since we always talk about anime on this podcast,
Might as well.
Goku in Chinese, I think, translates to boy aware of nothing. In Japanese, it means sky. But boy aware of nothing is the same name of the character in Journey to the West, who ultimately learns at the end that, like, everything results in nothing. So that's the whole premise behind being not attached to anything, is the fact that, like, good moments and bad moments both pass. So nothing lasts forever. And, like, that's the whole thing with being even keeled and having, with the Bruce Lee example, right? When people are coming at him, he's dealing with one thing at a time.
Yeah.
The even keel, the whole point of it, and the whole point of Buddhism is living in the present, in the now, because it's the stuff from behind you, good or bad, that distracts you, and that's really, really hard to break.
Yeah.
So, but it's an ego thing ultimately, and it sounds like the more I'm hearing about this, ego is the enemy, correct?
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like it's structured like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
Where it shows the premise of an idea, and then it goes into a story that demonstrates the idea and comes back, which I think is a great way to write a book because you get the idea clear. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just asking about that book you're talking about, of Boy of the West or something like that.
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West. Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Journey to the West is a Chinese folklore story that talks about a character known as the Monkey King, who has to literally journey to the West, and he is with a whole bunch of different characters, and along the way they learn some virtues, and it's a famous Chinese story, and it's inspired Naruto, it's inspired Dragon Ball Z. Everybody who reads it seems to be inspired, and a lot of writers have read it, so it's definitely an interesting book to look into. And it's not the most approachable or digestible thing. It's kind of like The Alchemist. I'm not sure if you ever read The Alchemist.
I like The Alchemist.
It's The Alchemist is good, but like you're reading a book that was translated from Spanish to English, and even though those languages are pretty close, like they're still not. It's not as smooth as a transition.
So you're saying
something that was written exactly in English.
So it's interesting you bring that up because I just got done reading this book called The Geography of Thought.
Yeah.
And basically the whole point of it is it compares Western and Eastern philosophies in a way. Just basically in psychology, there's always this assumption made because psychology is predominantly a Western school of thought. Like they try to take something, pinpoint it, and prove that through a hypothesis and the scientific method and things like that.
Psychology specifically, you said?
Yeah. So it's more or less a Western concept. It's like science in general is less developed in Eastern culture because they just have a different way of looking at things. But anyway, back to my point is that
historically, I wouldn't say in a modern context.
So what? I'm just going off of what I read in this book.
Right. But I just want to make that distinction that like science is something that's generally accepted globally now. I think.
No, I'm not saying it's not accepted. What I'm saying is that just by the way the book explains it is that Western, and they use a broad example of Western thought is more akin to the Greeks, who had they really liked debate, and they really liked to argue things, and they really liked to make points, whereas in Asian culture it was more like collectivism and getting along and just like like the middle way, and things nothing has a specific reason. It's all like an accumulation of everything going around you. There's no one explanation for what happens. So basically, this book argues that psychology. Sorry, where was the main point when we started this?
You were talking about how psychology is particularly a Western ideology, according to this book.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that this book argues that you can't necessarily make those arguments because people think differently in these different cultures. Like I was saying that in Eastern cultures, they think more collectively. Yeah. And in Western cultures, they think they have like pinpoint things. So there's different ways of thinking. And I'm sorry, I lost my thought.
No, that's cool, man. I think I know what you're getting at because I was talking about how The Alchemist is kind of a tough read.
Thank you.
Did that remind you of what you were going to say?
My point was that because there's a different way of thinking in that language, that things don't necessarily translate as well.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And that's why, like, when you watch a foreign film or if you like watch anime, it just seems a little weird to you. It's just like pacing and the way that it's written is different. But I feel like when you read a self-improvement book, and I feel like the majority of self-improvement books or books that you would read about ego and stuff are written in the United States. They're written in the English language. I'm not sure if there's a lot of foreign books that have those kind of ideologies that have become as successful. Maybe The Art of War, right? We could kind of argue for The Art of War. Yeah. But that's kind of an abstract one because it's all about military strategy, but you're applying it to your civilian, unmilitarized life. So that one is like, and I think Sun Tzu that's a Chinese one, right? Or a Japanese one?
Something like that.
So
I've never read that book, though.
So you don't think that transfers well to everyday life?
I think it does, but it's in more of an abstract way. For example, if you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that book is very, very straightforward because it's written in English, so you can apply it as a Westerner to your life easier than if you read Art of War without like any footnotes to kind of tell you how to apply those concepts to your life. Because that one is about like like Art of War. There's some points in it where it's like never enter a situation where like two combatants are like about to face off, never be like the third combatant. It's symbolism that doesn't really transfer over into the modern context today. I think when people read, they want like meat and the potatoes kind of stuff, like where it's just like very simple, hard hitting. Like,
how does this directly?
Aubrey Marcus, the guy who made On It, he made a book recently.
Yeah, I just started reading that.
Yeah, and like those kind of books are the ones that we want. And what is that one called, man?
Own the Day, Own Your Life.
Yeah. I can't wait to read that book, man. It looks so good. Is it cool?
Yeah, I
so
mean,
far?
it pretty much it takes you through what it would be like to live a perfect day.
Oh, cool.
Instead of like all these books where it's like how to live the perfect life, it's like let's just break down one day, and then once you can perfect that, then you can ultimately have a perfect life.
Okay, I'm excited to read that.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, man?
I was just say so you're saying that these broad generalization books aren't as valuable as like a cut and dry, this is what I mean. Because I think there's something good about something that's left to interpretation because it can mean something to you personally.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that at all. I'm somebody who reads the Bible, which has a ton of abstract things in it that I think apply to a modern context. But I'm just saying that the majority of readers aren't looking for that. The majority of readers are looking for something that's like more direct self-help,
Well, definitely if you're looking for a self-help book. It's like, what does this mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was just talking about. Is just self-help, but also, because people are eager for answers. People really want to know like how to improve their life, and they want to know how to improve their life quickly. That's the whole point with audiobooks, right? It's like you want to do something, but you want to hear ideas. I'm not sure. Are you into like audiobooks?
I just started getting into them, but it's tough for me. I really like having like a physical book.
Same.
And
I'm the
making
exact
notes and
same
stuff
way.
like that.
Exactly. The notes part is valuable, man.
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't take notes, you will forget it.
And I do have. I'm sorry, but I
Go
have
ahead. Please, you're the guest.
the Kindle Fire, like the
Sweet. Yeah.
the pad or whatever, but it's still not the same thing.
It doesn't feel as
like
nice.
you can make notes and stuff, but it's like I can't flip to those notes.
I gotta say, just turning that page sometimes is so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's like unlocking an achievement in a video game.
I'm a big collective-minded individual. I like having a shelf with like all my stuff on it. So like I like looking at like all the books I've read.
Yeah.
It makes me feel some type of way. Same thing with video games. Like in my apartment, like in my room, I have like all the video games I play. I just like looking at it. I hate digital libraries, man. I'm never gonna get into that stream.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you guys bring up audio versus physical books because I was having the same conversation with someone the other day. I was trying to get her to read that book I was talking about the Holocaust, Man's Search for Meaning.
I've been wanting to read that.
I just restarted to read it. I'm like 50 pages in, but it's like it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah.
It's definitely something worth to have on your bookshelf, I'd say. And I was making the argument to her something I really like about physical books is that versus something audio is that I can just stop and read a sentence and read it over and over again as many times as I need to really let it sink in.
Right.
With audio, like you could do that, but it'd be annoying to have to like pause, rewind, play, pause, rewind, play, pause, rewind, play.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't think about that. But yeah.
The one thing I do like about audio is like finding the audiobooks where the author talks.
True.
Reads
Yeah,
the book
that's
for
nice because you can really get the, I guess, inflection of what they were trying to say.
Yep.
I like it when it's an autobiography. So I have yet to read Bert Kreischer's book Life of the Party.
Yeah,
But
me
he
either.
apparently he narrates it.
Oh,
and
that'd be
apparently
nice.
like he was drunk while he narrated it, but it's like and he also expands. So like he'll be like, okay, and then he'll go off on a tangent like this is what this means. Anyways, back to the story. Like I can't wait because it's gonna be like a super long podcast,
Yeah.
And I think it's easier for guys like us because like I know you're a huge podcast fan, man. So like you can just listen to stuff like that. But
Yeah.
obviously when it's a book that like you really want to pay attention to, I think reading it is the best because you're also more free to imagine what is actually being said, and this applies to text messages as well, right? You get a text and you think about it so much because the way you read it in your head, you gave it a whole new meaning.
Oh,
And
definitely.
when you read like a self-help book, when you read something, it's so liberating because like you can instantly apply it to your situation because you're reading it in your own voice in your head. And I feel like even that little detail makes it more effective.
Do you ever watch Key and Peele?
I do, yeah.
Did you ever see a skit about that? The text messaging, how like they took it wrong.
No.
Like they're texting each other. One's at a bar. They're supposed to meet at the bar, and he's texting like, yeah, we're gonna meet here, right? And he goes, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he goes, yeah, sure, whatever. And then they're going back and forth, and
Yeah,
he's just
man.
like you're gonna get it, like they're going back and forth. And then he shows up. The one's ready to beat him up, and the other was like about to hug him.
Yeah.
And then he was just so confused as to like how the miscommunication happened.
That's real, man. That's real.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be even more prominent, Were you about to say something?
No, I was just listening.
No, that's totally real. And Key and Peele, they're just they're
Geniuses.
they're escalation humor at its finest. Like I feel like the pattern for Key and Peele can best be surmised in the one where it's the new hat situation, where the guy's got the new hat, and the guy's got the new hat with the tag, and then it gets to the point where he has like the whole display like on his head. Like that's the formula for almost every Key and Peele skit. I'm not knocking it, but it's escalation humor at its finest.
Another
It's like,
one-
how far can we take it?
Another one I'm thinking of is Gremlins 2. I think it's Electric Boogaloo. You ever see that one?
I forget, man. It's been years, dude. I haven't watched that stuff like for a long
Fair
time.
enough.
But yeah, man, books are cool. It's good to read a lot of books, and you've definitely beat me in the books read category. I can't even.
I don't know
that's
about
pretty
that,
good.
man.
I don't know, like, dude. I used to read a lot when I was in 6th grade because that was my escape. I didn't have cable. So I had public television. I just like watched Arthur all the time, and I was like, "This is lame." So like that's why I really read when I had nothing to do. So I guess my parents not having cable kind of worked, but I don't see any difference in me. Like, and I read dumb stuff when I was a kid too. Like I wish I would have read cool stuff. Like I was reading like just
Captain Underpants.
I did read Captain Underpants,
I
but
read
that
that.
was
Yeah,
like,
everyone read that
That
as
was
a
an
kid.
early
That's
period in
hilarious.
my life, man. Like I was reading a series of unfortunate events, like all the stuff that I guess in a way was entertaining and it crafted kind of what I do today. But don't you think about sometimes like, man, if only I would have known this stuff when I was like just like young, I would have been a savage,
Yeah,
bro.
I don't know about that young though. I mean, what would we really do with that information when we're in 6th grade? You know, I mean,
I just see like
It's all
young, I
relative,
see
yeah.
young exactly. I see young prodigies, I guess, and maybe that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like people who are kids who are like really banging on a craft, and I'm like, man, if I had like more focus when I was little, like that'd be awesome. But to your point, it's like when you're a kid, are you even capable of like realizing what you're reading? That like this idea that's in a book is something that could change you if you applied it to your life, or you're
Yeah.
just like absorbing the information as compared to just like reading it. you
yeah.
know?
I mean, I think that stuff helps you out for what you're doing. You know, I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
because you were all in that kind of field.
I
and-
guess that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, me reading probably the stuff that you read wouldn't pay off as much now as it did for you.
Good point. Yeah, I think everyone eventually gravitates to the stuff that's going to help them, whether they're looking to do it or not. Like they just do, you know. I can't describe it. But yeah, one day I'm gonna have I have 2 goals when I get a house. I want to have a library, bro. Just the room that's
Yeah,
just a
me
library,
too.
man.
Me too.
How sick would that be?
It'd be
dude?
amazing.
Oh,
Just have
that'd be
one
awesome.
seat in it. That's.
Could
that's
you
what I
imagine a
read.
setup or yet?
I can, man. My grandpa, when he lived in Texas, he had a nice library in his house, and it was just a desk. It kind of looked like the president's office, man, like one of those classic, like dark wooden desk with like the black swivel chair, kind of like this, and just all around, man. Besides the entrance to the room, was just books, dude, on all sides.
I'm thinking like
cool.
nice soft couches, like or like a love seat, like just a nice single chair. There's a lot of options. Okay, my mind is racing right now.
Yeah, man. But that's cool. But I was meaning to talk to you about UFC because a lot's going on in UFC.
You a big UFC fan?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's been going on? Because I'm not a big UFC fan. I enjoy it, but I don't watch it. What's going on with Conor McGregor? Is he fighting again? Is he retired?
I think he'll fight again.
Think he'll fight again?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. He needs like the perfect proposal.
Did you see his Instagram today when he was hanging out with Putin?
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
What? Why? What? He was he at the World Cup?
Yeah, yeah.
He said it's an honor to meet the greatest leader. And then he saved like all time or something like that. It was nuts. Dude.
Damn, that's controversial.
That would definitely
Yeah.
for a lot of people, man.
But like the man's Irish, like right? Irish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. well, I don't know. I just
know.
where's the love come from?
Just
That's what I'm
shaking
thinking.
hands with Putin, bro. It's just crazy. First, it was him like just at the cup. I sent my brother that picture because it was so classic Conor McGregor. It's just like him in a suit, like sitting in a chair. Not even a picture of the field, just a picture of him sitting
Yeah,
and
just
watching
eating.
it. I was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
Yeah, I mean him fighting. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think so, man.
It's so up in the air. There's so many things with the UFC now going up in the air. And, like, so what we mentioned before getting on, the whole thing with Brendan Schaub and Dana White.
Yeah.
Like, Brandon Schaub really called him out.
About what?
I think rightfully so. So what happened was Brendan Schaub now has a second podcast. I forget the name of it. It's not Fighter and the Kid, Below the Belt, which is so Fighter and the Kid. Now I got to start from and step in if I get any of the details wrong from square one. So Fighter and the Kid is Brian Cowan and Brendan Schaub, and it's a comedy-centric podcast, but they also touch on UFC a little bit. It's basically they have really good chemistry, so they talk. Brendan got a show on ESPN, I think, and then in correlation with that show, he has a podcast called Below the Belt where it's just the MMA talk. So if you like Fighter and Kid for the comedy and just a little bit of MMA, but like Below the Belt is just the MMA talk, and it's with Chin, who's also their like go-to guy, like young Jamie on the Joe Rogan podcast. Chin is on both of those shows. So there was a criticism, and I think it had something to do with Stipe or something like that Brendan Schaub made in one of the episodes of Below the Belt that got a response from Dana White. Then Dana White was like, this guy's an idiot. I can't believe anybody believes in him. And he just cited Brendan Schaub's record really quick. Like, this guy, the only thing that this guy's going to teach you is how to lose. Don't listen to him, blah, blah, blah.
Sheesh.
So, yeah, it was pretty ruthless. And I didn't even know Twitter had the amount of characters that it had.
They extended it
That's
in
what
the
I
past
heard.
year.
Yeah.
It's unlimited now.
Is it?
Yeah, so obviously...
It's definitely more than 150,
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Brendan responded back. He said, wow, he's like, it's really crazy that you had the opportunity to jump on Instagram or Twitter after folding Rhonda's laundry. He's like, good for you. He's like, and he just pretty much said, like, you don't know what you're talking about either. So then somebody fired back and was just like, why are you roasting like Brendan Schaub? Like, he's kind of a successful dude. Like, you called him an unsuccessful fighter, but he's a fighter that left the UFC and became successful outside of fighting. So that makes him successful. And so Dana White responded with, Brendan Schaub is successful. He goes, after Joe Rogan stops carrying him, he won't have a career. And so Brendan went on Instagram, and because of this character limit, he posted one of those classic notebook pictures from like an iPhone, I think, where you can like write down your entire thought, and basically like just roasted Dana White's life, talking about how like the UFC is kind of in disarray right now, and he's like a dude in his late 40s who's like a boxing instructor in Boston, and he's a fat loser, and just is really letting him have it, which to me is uncharacteristic of him. I feel like he always tries, at least the new Brendan Schaub tries to like shy away from confrontation. Maybe people would disagree with me on that.
Everyone has a limit.
I mean, he went off, man. He went off, and he was just like, look, Joe Rogan's my best friend, but like a lot of the success is due to me. And in my opinion, I'm a Brendan Schaub fan, but also looking from it objectively, yeah, like he was somebody who got defeated really bad, and moved on and just became a really cool guy, like a really cool entertainer outside of fighting. So I think Brendan's right, but man, like I feel like he's above talking to just like Dana like that.
Well, he's always had beef with Dana.
Yeah, he always has,
Yeah,
like even
there's
from
always
the
been-
early days. Yeah,
Did that start when he was a fighter?
I'm not sure.
it was like the whole Reebok deal thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm
went
not
down.
really sure of all that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago where I read that, but it was pretty fun to watch. But I was like, man, this is, I don't know, dude. I don't know how I feel about people being mad and then like posting their anger like in a blurb. Like,
Yeah.
I'd much rather like see them talk it out, but it's not for entertainment. It's honestly how they feel. So I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a new way of like coming at someone though, is through Twitter or some kind of other social media.
Yeah, I guess.
Get the numbers behind you, get the likes.
Yeah, and that goes back to the ego. It's,
Right.
it's all ego driven.
Brad's read this book. He knows.
Good plug.
He knows what's up.
He just wants to get his point across and everyone to be behind him, and then
Right.
he's like the big bully with the army behind him. And but I don't know. They got their problems, and that's how they want to deal with it.
Right, man.
But,
Whatever.
I mean, I do think the UFC's been slacking ever since, I guess they sold a couple years ago or whatever. Did you hear about that?
No, honestly, I know very little about UFC,
Okay.
so I'm just listening mostly right now.
They sold to like this huge company and sold it for like billions of dollars, and now, these main guys, the Fertitta brothers or something, I don't think they're
Yeah.
as involved as
Yeah.
they used to be, and now it just hasn't been the same.
So UFC is just kind of going down. Is what
well,
you're
no,
saying.
I mean, I still think it's going up.
I think it's going up too, in that for someone who's a very casual watcher, like I like UFC. I think it's a very interesting sport. I think there's a lot of respect that goes into it. I respect those guys for training day after day, and not that boxing is also a very hard sport, but I think this just takes it to the next level, in my opinion. I think there's a lot more that these guys have to know. There's a lot more they have to account for. There's a lot more injuries they need to think about. So it's high risk, high reward, very entertaining, a lot of determination, a lot of hard work that goes into it. But that's interesting that they're having problems because from the outside looking in, it looks like they're doing very well. Like I'm seeing more exposure.
Yeah, well, I think they're about to get hooked up on ESPN, and they have big deals going on. But I don't know, like the hardcore fans that know about it, like it just hasn't been the same.
Well, the whole CM Punk thing,
yeah,
with
CM Punk,
him being around and
yeah, he sucks, and they keep giving him shots.
Yeah,
and stuff
man,
like that.
it's
Who's that? A fighter?
Yeah, he used to be a WWE wrestler.
Oh, okay.
And he wanted to become a UFC guy. He trained for like an entire year. Comes in, gets his ass beat, and then gets another shot on the main card. I think he got his ass beat again.
Yeah.
And Dana's like, he should just retire. Like, he shouldn't be doing it anymore.
Yeah, man. And that happens to a lot of people that have star power that try and pick up MMA. And then no shade to them because it's really hard to do. But, like, that happened with Kimbo Slice. Like, Kimbo Slice was the man, right? This is a long time
ago. I remember that.
And people were like, yo, like, I can't wait to see Kimbo Slice fight. Once you step in with, like, people who do this, like, really do this for a living, it's completely different.
What did Kimbo Slice do before?
He was just, dude, I feel like he was just a guy on the street that
Like a
fought
street
people.
fighter?
Yeah, just street fighting.
Dude, he was just like your most hood character, just out in the street, just fighting people, man.
Did you see them videos back in the day? Like,
Yeah, I saw the videos back in the day. You're
Classic.
kidding me?
Yeah,
Everyone knows who Kimbo Slice is.
Yeah.
Didn't he die?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
He did.
Yeah, of course.
I had to make sure, like, pay him his respect.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean. Yeah.
That guy was a fucking legend.
I didn't
yeah,
mean to laugh,
100%.
but it's just funny.
No, I get what you're
how,
saying.
how
Like,
blunt that was. But yeah, so I feel like with him, like he's a celebrity, he has some kind of celebrity power, and it's like what you want to see when you watch UFC, when you watch MMA, is like two people who like are just like they've been born into this, they've been bred to do this. Like it's not just a spur of the moment decision. Like we've seen some amazing fighters, man. So I feel like that's where a lot of the controversy from that comes from. But you're right. I feel like it might pick up with these deals coming right now.
Yeah.
But right now it's in a sort of a lull. It's like it doesn't have the same like magnetism.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, a lot of the big fighters got out of it. Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. She went to WWE.
Yeah.
it looked like she was having a blast too. Did you see those videos?
She talked about like how she really loves it, man, and good for her. That's
yeah, it's
awesome.
good for her. I'm not feeling it, man.
I thought you were a fan, bro.
Nah.
When we lived together, you used to play the WWE game, or was that just Khalif's thing?
Yeah, we used to play that game, but that was before Ronda was in that. She was on top back when we were in college.
Oh,
but,
dude, I was on the train so hard, bro.
Yeah.
I was watching every fight, man.
WWE just makes me think of like a caricature of actual fighting. Like it's like it takes off the form of fighting, but it's a little sillier. Like it tries to be serious, but like nothing is actually real.
I used to have like kind of a disdain for it when I was like, as somebody who watches like you and I watch combat sports like a lot, like as somebody who watches like boxing and MMA and stuff. And I'm not a mega fan, but I prefer to watch that. I see like the hokey like fighting, and I was like, this is kind of silly. But then again, I watch anime, which is fake, right?
But it's a cartoon, like it's not supposed to pretend to be real,
right?
Yeah.
It's so I can watch it for a visual value. But this is like, because I'm an artist, I like watching visual things like cartoons and stuff. But for WWE people, like this is their anime, like this is their series. It's a soap opera with fighting.
It's a good way
And
to look at it.
once I realized that, I laid off the WWE fans, but I could never like sit down and watch it.
That's a
man.
good way to look at it, though.
Yeah, it's
I
a
never
soap
thought of
opera
it
with
that way.
fighting, man.
I used to be into it as a kid, but I've heard stories. I don't know if it was from The Rock, but I do have a lot of respect for him now because apparently they're doing with like say like music artists or stuff like that. Like they have a tour where they go on around the country and they're fighting like every Tuesday as Raw or whatever the hell it is.
Cool.
And so they're traveling, go do Raw, and then they're traveling to another city and doing it all over again.
It's pretty dope.
So
yeah.
like they're putting a lot of strain on themselves, and
Yeah.
even though it is fake, they're flying in the air, getting slammed.
Oh, you still have to
Yeah.
be careful,
Yeah.
no question.
No, I remember. What's the guy with the mask? What's his name?
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio. I remember that he killed someone by accident.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
When
that was
that?
recent too.
I'm not
Like,
sure if it was recent, but like he was
within-
doing like a swinging kick and he kicked someone and they died.
It was
Wow.
within the last couple years. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't within the last couple years.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, it can be hardcore. I mean, if it's hardcore by accident, but still, there's a risk, right?
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, you're for God's sakes, you're hitting people in the back with chairs. You know, like,
Well-
or are they fake chairs? I mean, I don't.
I mean, they're pulling their punches with
I
these chairs,
mean-
bro. It's not real.
Like the chairs are already broken.
Well, no, I mean they're hitting people. They're hitting people with chairs, but they're not like wailing on them. You know, it's not real, man. Like it looks real.
They
but
know
it's
the
not.
soft
It
spots.
doesn't
to
look
hit 'em.
that real.
It's not real, dude.
I know I've seen them like. All right, so better example, I guess, is like, you know, they're doing their pile drives like off of the cage. And,
Yeah.
like, you know, they have to land correctly or else they're gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
but they
well,
still have to do that acrobatic stuff.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Oh, it's just like anything. Like, you know, there's a skill to it. You have to know what you're doing. It's like playing professional.
Falling with style.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say it's like playing professional football. It's actually completely different. But it's like something that, you know, there is rules to it. It's just never been my thing, man. But people that like it that are older, I don't judge them, but I'm like, that's definitely something that carried over with them from childhood. It's not like you're an adult and you become a WWE fan.
Yeah,
that's
very
That's a
true.
little weird, dude. Like just out
Very
of nowhere,
true.
you watch it one time, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Never
Do you
see
know
that.
any examples of that?
No, I don't know, man. I'm sure they're there. There was this when I was in college. This is a funny story. So, my friend Dave, who I've had on this podcast, I should have even said his name, but when I have him on his podcast, I used to go to his house sometimes, like his apartment sometimes really late, because we used to make comics together. We started Litmus Comics at Temple, and we used to just like illustrate and draw like super late. We used to go on Wild Wild runs, and he had a roommate at one point that he was kind of a strange guy, just wore nothing with WWE shirts. And granted, he's like 22, 23, but he'd spend like a lot of time in his room like watching WWE, and we could tell because it was really loud. But he would yell at the TV. Like his door was closed, so I knew it was in there. But he would just be like, "Oh, come on!" Like I'm like, dude, it's not real. Like I can't believe he's that into it. But that's
Yeah.
definitely something that carried over from childhood, you know. And so yeah, that's the closest I've ever had to that. And
Well,
I
I
was
knew
a little
kids-
weirded out.
I
for
knew
sure.
kids in elementary school. Like I never watched it as a kid, but I knew kids that genuinely believed that these people were fighting for real. And like
Yeah.
that comes with being a kid, I guess.
I
But
thought it was real when I was a kid.
Same, bro. I was
You
like,
know?
wow, these guys are tough.
Yeah.
there was this dude that supposedly died and then came back to life, and like this one kid even believed that. And, like, at
Undertaker.
one- yeah, exactly, exactly.
Even
Like,
I know about that, bro.
Yeah, he believed that he died and came back to life just for the fight, and like I remember getting angry that he believed that. I was like, how can like I was trying to explain to him the facts.
Well,
about
bro,
that.
did you believe in Santa when you were in school? Like,
Probably at some point.
yeah, it's the
Same thing.
Did I believe Santa
Yeah.
died and came back to life? No, not necessarily.
I mean, dude, you know, it's interesting. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Not my thing, but it's interesting, dude.
Yeah. And I guess there's like a medium for everything, like that kid that just watches it all the time, like to each his own. But when it starts getting to a point where, you know, you're missing out on things in your life just to watch wrestling, you know, it's like you got to cut back on that shit.
Well, it's a form of escapism, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have that with video games, with drinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was his form of escapism, maybe. I mean, I only say that because he didn't appear particularly happy outside of watching this. So maybe his refuge was going into his room and just then like getting lost in this fight that's not real. And you know, it's a sad thing, but a lot of people do that. There's a time where you got to face the music, man.
Exactly.
And but see, like that takes discipline. So it's just an undisciplined person, you know.
So that actually brings me to a quote I heard recently from Malcolm X. It was something along the lines of, the things that you don't hate, you begin to tolerate. So, you
dope.
know, you just get used to certain things. A good example that the person that said that quote made was, you know, like people that are getting overweight, you know, they might say, "Oh, I'm getting pudgy," but it's like, nah, you're really a fat ass. You just got to
Right.
like look at it objectively.
Right.
So it's like finding those things in your life that might not be benefiting you, or not giving you the outcomes that you're looking to find, and just really doubling down for the case of this example, hating those things,
Right.
so that you can then move on to better things to improve your life.
100%, man. It's being real with yourself,
Mhm.
and that's tough, man.
Yeah, and I mean, they do, you know, I do encourage people to do what they love, but, you know, if you're sitting in your room watching the same shit
Yeah.
every day. It's like, come on now.
Like find something that you can do and find something that you can enjoy doing, but
Mhm.
make sure that you can have like a normal life
Mhm.
off of it.
Yeah, balance is the key.
A livable life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that just comes from balance. Obviously, doing that a lot is not balance. But back to what you're saying, Brad, which is you're recognizing something in yourself, especially when people try and downplay it, right?
Mhm.
So David Goggins, I mean, you probably
Yeah.
know him from
Oh
Joe
yeah, I
Rogan
saw that
podcast.
podcast. Is
Well,
awesome.
he did one. He did an interview one time because I watch a lot of his stuff, and he did an interview one time where he was like, when I was young, I was really stupid, and he's like, I knew this because people used to tell me like, oh, you're not dumb, you're smart. And he's like, as soon as people would say that, he's like, I knew that they were coddling me. He's like, so I told myself like, no, I'm an idiot. He's like, he goes, I'm an idiot. Roger that. How do I get smarter? So like he started reading books. But it's like one of those things, man. Like, you know, when people are trying to play to your weaknesses, and you know what your weaknesses are, and you're ultimately, what I feel, and I'm not speaking for everybody, is that you're scared of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a fear of them. So you try and pretend that it's okay because you're afraid that once you face it, like it's. You ever watch Cowboy Bebop?
Clips.
Okay.
I've never seen the entire series.
There's an episode.
Don't judge me.
There's an episode where Spike opens up a refrigerator that he has in like the spaceship. The whole premise is these bounty hunters live on a spaceship, and it's a big spaceship, so they can like walk around and stuff. And he opens up this refrigerator in a storage room that he completely forgot that there was a second refrigerator, and he opens it up. And as he starts to open it up, he sees like mold and like creatures and like all this weird stuff in it, and he closes it right away. And he realizes that he left the lobster in there 5 years ago, and their power has been off. So like all this stuff grew in it, and he closes it. And instead of deciding to clean out the refrigerator, he's like, I have to destroy it. And I feel like that's what it is with weakness. Like when we really look at our weaknesses and like open it up, we see like all this crazy stuff. Like I'm weak in this because this happened to me when I was a kid, and because this person said that to me, and that's how I messed up this relationship and stuff. And like once we see all that, we get really, really afraid, man. But like once you beat the fear of seeing all the ugliness in the fridge, like you can clean it out. But it's getting to that point where, you know, you got to see what it is, man. Like you really just got to look at it.
Yeah. And it really all comes back to you too. You know, like I've been really into like the motivational type stuff, but I've been kind of like weaning away from it because I noticed like just those motivational kind of talks, they don't really do anything. It's really up to you at the end of the day to, you know, find the drive in yourself to then make those changes.
Exactly. And if you I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt,
go ahead.
Drew. If you listen to it too much, you get like a fake high off of it.
Yeah.
Because just hearing it, you're like, yeah, you feel empowered, but it's not, you didn't even apply anything to your life yet. That's the thing. And sometimes that little dopamine rush you get from listening to something motivational is just a dopamine rush. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't accomplish anything. So I completely see where you're coming from with that.
But then it could also be the flip side where, you know, you said David Goggins, they would say like, oh, you're smart. He could have taken that as a positive. But then, you know, I think when I was a kid, my parents, I just started thinking about this recently. You know, they would introduce me and they say, oh, he's shy. You know what I mean? And I feel like throughout my life that I have been shy, like growing up. I remember like going to family parties. I always like stay back and shit like that. And it's like because of them saying that, you then begin to think to yourself.
They reinforce that thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can kind of take it one of two ways.
Yeah.
So are you in the school of thought that thinks that even with those external forces telling you that you are a certain thing, that you can overcome them, be what you want to be, do what you want to do?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think having those forces in your life and keeping them around only makes it harder for you to make those changes.
Right.
But everyone has some of them. You
Yeah,
know, everyone has
of
a
course.
certain force that's trying to keep them from being what they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, I guess you just got to be aware of that and, you know, get past it. I mean, like they say, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future or something like that.
Right, man.
You know, like, yeah, there could be forces that are stopping you, but you just got to be aware and like cut off as much as possible.
Yeah, which is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's really tough to like say goodbye to friends that you
Yeah.
know you gotta say
Especially,
goodbye to.
yeah, people that you love, like family
Yeah.
members and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very
And
tough.
I used to take that the wrong way when like I heard that. You know, I don't think you necessarily need to cut. You know, some people you do need to cut off completely. Other people, it's more of like how much time you spend with them. You know, you can keep them in your life, but if you start spending too much time, then they it's almost like they start to impose themselves on you in ways that aren't productive for what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the 5 friends thing, that's exactly what you just said too, because they're imposing their will on you, and that's when you kind of have to step away and look at things in an objective manner, and that's where framing comes into play, right? So what I think about you mentioned, do you think that anybody can be what they want to be? Well, when you tell yourself like what you are and what your friends are and stuff like that, like when you look at yourself and you say, okay, man, I'm this guy, it's me versus everybody, and I'm going to be this, and my opposition is this. My opposition is myself, but also I'm the one who's going to make it out. So, like, I'm my own worst enemy, but at the same time, I'm, like, the protagonist in the story. You just framed it in your head, right? So you just told yourself what you are. So I believe if you tell yourself who you are, then you become that. But then you really got to believe it, right? So a lot of people tell themselves, like, you know, I'm going to be okay and everything's going to be all right, instead of saying, like, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to take charge of my life. So it's like those two things that I just said are synonymous. Like, I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be successful, but they're actually completely different, right? I'm going to be okay is just like everything's going to work out by the luck of the draw. It has nothing to do with me. But I'm going to be successful is like I'm going to take the steps and actually do it. So you have to really be careful, like, what you tell yourself. And it's the same thing with friends. Like, these friends, like, are they my friends or are they people I hang out with? Because that's the whole thing with approaching, like, what we don't want to approach and our weaknesses. Because there's people that we hang out with that aren't our friends. We just hang out with them. If we were with them one-on-one, we would look at them and be like, we're really not the same. We just spend time with each other. Yeah. So it's everything in your life, in my opinion, is what you tell yourself it is. So you have to tell yourself what it is correctly. Like, you have to be dead honest and completely accurate with what it is. And if you can be honest with yourself and really tell yourself what everything is, then you'll make it out okay. But it's gonna hurt. That's the sucky part.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's always gonna hurt. I mean, any kind of challenge, there's always gonna be some growing pains through it. I think that there's, how do I say this? I think that what you need to focus on is whether these people are trying to cultivate your strengths or your weaknesses. You know, if they're nurturing your, you know, what problems you have and your insecurities, or if they're nurturing your strengths and how you can improve on those strengths.
I'd say that some people are neither, though, and I see what you're saying.
What do you mean by
and I agree
that?
with it. Some people are just neutral. They're
Just like
there.
placeholders?
They don't have an opinion on anything. They're not doing anything in their life, and it's not a slight towards them, but that's just the decision that they've made. They're not positive. They're not negative. They're just people that are there, and you could be really attached to them, but then you gotta put them in a place like, all right, you're my friend. You'll always be my friend, but I can't bang with you like that because you're not like. You have no substance behind what you do.
Like, you don't want to play ball the way I want to play ball.
Well, there's nothing that you believe. There's no core belief that you have. There's nothing that's driving you. So I can't associate too much with you because, like, you're a blank slate. You obviously need to spend more time on your own and get to know who you are and what you want. But that doesn't mean I can't be your friend. It just means that, like, we have to spend less time with each other. So then there's that. You know what I'm saying? There's, like, we're still friends, but I just can't spend as much time with you, man, because, like, you got stuff to figure out.
So would you rather have someone in your life that you didn't necessarily agree with everything on, but they have their own opinions, they have their own thoughts?
Yeah, my best friend is completely different from me in every way. You know, I'm somebody who's, you know, for example, he's somebody that really believes in communism, and that's a big up. And if you believe in that, you know, that's, hey, I'd like to hear your reasoning for it, but I don't believe in that at all. So, like, but we're best friends. Like, we can still hang out together even though, like, we believe completely different things, you know?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know, he's somebody who wants to be a vegan. I would never be a vegan, you know what I'm saying? But, like, we're still best friends. But I think we share a common interest in, like, our art and passions and stuff like that. But for the blank slate people, and everyone knows them, they're just kind of like placeholders. Like, what do you want to do? I don't really know. Like, well, is there something that interests you? No, there's not really anything that interests me. Well, like, what do you believe? I just don't. And it's like, you need to figure stuff out. You know what I'm saying? You need to get down and, like, find out what you want to do. And I'm not saying it's easy to do or, like, you should have figured it out by now. I'm just saying, like, you gotta spend more time by yourself. Like, that's a marker right there. This person needs to spend more time by themselves.
It's interesting you say that, you know, you don't have to know it right now. I meet a lot of people at work and just, like, on the street, I guess, and it always seems like some people have this mentality that if you haven't figured out what you want to do once you're done college, or even beforehand, that you already wasted all your time. You're too old. It's too late to change. It's too late to do anything about it. And I'd lie if I said I wasn't in that school of people when I first came out of college, because I was very nervous. I was freaking out. I was like, what the fuck do I do with my life?
Yeah.
Like I spent all this time, and like I'm not even sure if this is what I want to do anymore. But I think that's really, I think it's dangerous to get into that.
But you're making strides towards what you want to figure out.
Trying, man. Like I'm trying.
Everyone
things.
is. Everyone is. That's what I'm saying. But there's some people that aren't making strides.
That's what I'm saying. There's some people that kind of just say, all right, I'm this age, even if it's still young. I'm this age, in their mind it's old. And I guess that goes to what you're saying about you are what you tell yourself.
Exactly.
Some people tell themselves they're too old to change or too old to do something, and they just give up.
Once you realize that, like once you realize you can tell yourself what you are, for me that's like the most liberating feeling ever. Like that's your brain is so cool, man, because if you tell yourself, you can be delusional, right? Like it's different to be like you lost something and people are like, oh dude, you just got owned. You're like, no man, I won. Like that's weird. You look totally creepy and you shouldn't do that. But it's different when you look at your opposition and like whatever obstacles in your life, and you're like, I'm someone who's capable of overcoming this. Just saying it, like you already have, in a way. You still have a lot of legwork to do, but like just the fact that you acknowledge that you can do it is pretty powerful, man.
Yeah, and I agree with everything with you, what you say, and it's like how do you pinpoint that moment in that person's life when that change is made? You know what I mean? Because I always say this, but like I was kind of in that same, I guess, purgatory kind of state, through college, like at Temple, where it was like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm just kind of going through the motions. I didn't know where it was leading me. And then, our third year when we're in that apartment, just watching you and watching all our other roommates and how they did their thing, that just really motivated me and inspired me to change what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it's like in that, that 8-month period, I kind of like transformed in a way, but it's like not everyone is given those kind of experiences. So it's like how can people that aren't as fortunate even put themselves in that situation where they can make that change?
I mean, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not bashing people like that. I'm just saying that you shouldn't spend a lot of time around people like that because they need to spend more time by themselves. I'm not saying you can't be friends or hang out. What I am saying is that the solution to that, for me anyways, and this is all me, so anybody has a problem with what I'm saying, this is all like stuff I think. I'm willing to be proven wrong. My fix for that is throwing yourself into everything, like learning about everything, doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I'm not saying you got to do insane drugs. If that's your flavor of the week, then go ahead, just be safe. But what I'm saying is like you should throw yourself into like anything that's even slightly, even remotely interesting. Like if you watch a video of a dude painting or shooting a bow and arrow or scuba diving and you're like, that just looks a little bit cool, like just dig into that, man, and find something in that you think is cool. Like get up and do as much as you possibly can, because if you sit around and think, man, it's just the time's just gonna go and you're just gonna be like, man, I've been thinking for like 10 years. So you just gotta jump in and do stuff. My solution to you, man, or anybody, man, like my solution to you, if you're listening to this right now and you don't know like what to do, just take a trip where you don't even know what the destination is. Just step out of your house, get on a train, get a cab, something. Go somewhere where you don't even know where you are. Obviously navigate back home. I don't want you to get lost, but like just go, man. Just go and talk to a stranger, step into a store, just expose yourself to as much as you can. Because sitting in your room is going to kill you, man. It's going to kill you. That's my whole thing.
So I guess there's like kind of like a happy medium between what you're saying, because it's like they do have to spend time with themselves solely, but they also have to get out and experience
Talk
things.
to somebody. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people don't want to spend time with themselves though, because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because you really got to look yourself in the face and like see what you are or see what you aren't.
Yeah.
I think that's worse than seeing what you are, seeing what you aren't and what you want to be.
And I guess that kind of comes back to like having no attachment, you know, just don't care where you're at right now. Just know that it will eventually get better if you stick to what you know will make you better.
The social media age, man, we're all comparing each other's lives, man. But like, just like Transformers, man, like I'm telling you,
we're all in disguise. Is that what you're saying?
No. Transformers theme song, everybody in the world should listen to at least once. There's a line in there, and it's the catchphrase of Transformers: "More than meets the eye." That's what it is with social media. It's more than what you're looking at, man. Like there's so much stuff that is behind that picture. There's sadness, there's happiness, This person may have took it 46 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that's presented to us is not the way it is. There's more than meets the eye. So comparing yourself to somebody isn't accurate, you know? This is very generic, and I've said it a billion times. You know, you could see somebody who's very, very happy on Instagram. They have everything that you want. They have a lot of money. They have all this cool stuff, but they don't have a mom or a dad that loves them. Like, that is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got a mom and dad that love you, but like, you're broke. So it's like everybody's got their cross to bear, and that's why the whole thing, don't care. That's what you said, like, don't care where you're at. That's where that philosophy comes into, man, because everybody's got something that everyone's got. A rain cloud, bro. So like, just roll with your rain cloud. That's it.
Yeah.
Just roll with that thing until the sunshine comes through, bro. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too abstract.
No.
But that's how I feel.
But like, can you talk about more about where you were? I mean, you left Temple, you went to Rowan, and then you just left. You know, like, what was going through your head?
Yeah. So that transition, like, so sophomore year at Temple, I was pretty depressed. I had no idea what I was doing. Got better third year when we moved into the apartment.
Yeah.
But then I just realized, you know, there was no direction. And, you know, Temple being out of state, it was just ridiculous amount of money. So I'm like, I might as well just move in state, something cheaper, and just get my degree. So then going through that, I spent a year at Rowan, and, you know, I'm just going through the motions. And at that point, I think the first semester I was maybe working at ShopRite. And then during the winter, I got my real estate license and then started doing that the second semester. And once I started doing that and like seeing what I was doing in real estate and all that I'm learning, and then seeing what I'm learning from school, it was just like, what am I even doing? You know? So through the third year at Temple, living with you guys, it really got my head on my shoulders and gave me some good direction. And then, you know, progressing through getting into real estate, hanging out with the people that I work with now, that just completely changed my mindset and showed me that this, you know, this business can bring me everything that I've wanted, and brought me where I'm here today. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to put my finger on it, like that one moment that it changed and that I decided like I just want to drop out and just get into this. But you know, thinking about it now, the reason why I'm sticking with it is because I just love just helping people.
Right.
And I think that really kind of, it holds true for like everyone in everything they're doing. You know, no one really knows what they're getting themselves into, but at the end of the day, when they find what they love, the underlying thing behind all of it is like helping people, whether it be, you know, helping with them with the biggest investment they're ever going to make in their life, helping them with, you know, a medical sickness that they have or something like that, or just like making a cartoon that makes, you know, kids laugh or like people laugh. You know, at the end of the day, everything is just serving other people and improving the lives of other people.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me now.
Yeah. You found a reason that was bigger than you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Exactly.
That's a common trait that a lot of people have, man. And that's what I admire about you, dude. Like, you just let the culture of what you do just completely absorb you. Like, I can tell when I talk to you about this, like, you're 1,000% in, you know?
Yeah.
This is something that you live, dude. Like, real, that's something real to you. Like, you have goals that you've set based on this, like, field that you're in right now, like the whole duplex thing, but also just, like, your excitement about it. I can tell you're enthusiastic about it. Like, when you talk about it on Instagram, when I talk to you about it, you know, like, you've dived into it, and it's cool, man. It's just like electricity. It's flowing, man.
And I mean, I still struggle with it every day. You know, I am always thinking about the money that I'm going to make and how much that I want to make.
Of course. Yeah, of course you're going to. Yeah.
But, you know.
It's all commission based? Like,
yeah.
you only get money when you sell a house.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just always bringing it back to helping people, and that always makes it better. You know, when I have a bad day, it's just having gratitude for what is currently going on and having that drive you forward.
Yeah, man.
Because, you know, every day is something different, like I said, and a lot of ups and downs.
Totally.
But, you know, just keeping that positive mindset.
Yeah, man.
You know?
But look, you're still here. You're still banging with it, man.
Yeah.
You're still killing it. It may not be all sunshine and roses, dude, but That's how sales is. It's
Yeah.
it's turned you into a salesman though, right? You can see now like what to do and what not to do.
Exactly. And I mean, I read this one book, To Sell is Human. Everyone sells.
That's pretty dope.
You know,
I like that.
every single, both of you guys, you're salesmen. You
Yeah.
just don't know it.
Whether
you
it's
know?
how you present yourself or trying to convince someone, tell your friends you want to go to the movies, you gotta present
Yeah.
A, B, and C of why going to the movies is a good
the
idea.
benefits and everything
Exactly.
like that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's just like being able to positively influence people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all it is.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of door knocking. People are so scared. Like, no one door knocks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Because they're afraid of the rejection.
Yeah.
Almost instantaneous rejection.
But dude, I literally get like no negativity. You know, I'll go out for
Yeah.
2 hours, I'll talk to say 20, 30 people, all of them positive interactions.
that's also the person that you are though, because you're one of the friendliest people I know, man. So like,
Really?
you know, like you can give that off pretty quick. But I'm sure that's a trait that you've picked up also to help you. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
is there like any tricks that you know? I'm sorry to derail
No.
you. Is there like any like hooks that you've developed, or what is it all about?
I mean, I just really like study other people that do it.
Okay.
Do you have a mentor right now?
Yeah, I mean, I do work with a guy. His name's Scott Shepard. He's been in it for like over 18 years.
Cool.
He just teaches me all the ins and outs. But even him, you know, he doesn't door knock. I kind of developed this habit through just watching other successful realtors in my field.
Dope.
So I think just, you know, real estate and every other profession, you know, it's kind of like a sport. Like if you want to be the best basketball player, you watch Michael Jordan. You know,
Right.
best baseball player, A-Rod. So just in any other profession, you know, I want to be the best realtor. Just find the best ones and just copy exactly what they're doing.
Totally.
You know, it's not that hard.
It's more like you copy the good things they do. Eventually, you'll build your own style to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I heard this quote. It's like any fool can learn from their own mistakes, but the real trick is like learning from other people's
Yeah,
mistakes.
I like that quote too, man. It's a dope one. It's
Yeah.
really sick. And I'm sure all that experience with knocking, regardless of the results that it yields, you're learning a lot about people and communicating with people.
Exactly.
Man. So like, and that's just giving you more and more power. You know, you're just building up your selling power with each experience, like with each rejection. There's a really cool friend that you and I both know. He's a really cool guy. He's gonna come on this podcast one day. But to share a story from him, I remember he was like looking for a job, and he just picked a street in Philadelphia and just knocked on every store, like
Wow.
the door to every store, and just walked in and didn't even ask if they were hiring. He's just like, listen, like I'm here to work, like what can I do? And some people were just like, well, there's nothing, like get out of here. Some people were like, oh, you can look online. Like there's all these varying responses that he got, but he was gauging everybody. He was just walking in, just saying like, look, I want to work here. Like he did it for the whole street, and he's the only person I knew that would do something like that. But that was his thing. Like it was less about finding a job and more about being comfortable asking for what he wanted, right? And that's a bigger lesson.
Yeah, it is hard sometimes to like. You feel like you don't deserve it sometimes, you know, or like
Yeah.
you're being a bother by asking for it.
Yeah, like even thinking about like say door knocking like $1 million neighborhood, that makes me nervous. You know, talking
Yeah,
to like
I
millionaires and
feel like
like,
it make a
that's
lot of people
wild.
nervous.
let me let you sell your house even though I'm 24 and I've only been in for a couple of years.
Are interactions with them any different from the normal person?
I mean, I think they're even more positive because
Really?
people with money have less stress. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, even if it's a no, it's still like a positive interaction. You know?
Gotcha.
They're happy people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, see, isn't that the best kept secret? A lot of people talk about how like, you know, wealth doesn't guarantee happiness.
Yeah.
But a lot of those wealthy people, like I've met a fair amount of wealthy people in my life, and I've only met a few of them that were like mean. Most of them they're cool, and I feel like the reason why they're like that is because they're successful. And the reason they got successful was because of positive mindset and because they're good at making connections. Right?
Yeah, and
I
they were
don't know a lot
probably
of-
in that position one
Yeah.
time in their life.
I don't know like a lot of mean, streckly rich people.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the Disney villain, you know. But like I've met a lot of cool rich people. Not to say that they don't exist, the bad ones, but I
Yeah.
see your point on that.
I mean, they say like money only magnifies or intensifies the person who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're a nice person, you're only going to be 10 times more nice, like if you make money.
I like the.
where'd you hear that? Like who said that?
I forget who said
Okay,
that.
I'm
Yeah,
just
I heard
curious.
that
I
a
was
while
gonna look
ago.
into it.
I'd agree with that though. I definitely agree with that. The same thing if you like you're a vindictive person if you have a lot of money, you know.
Yeah.
You would use it to do a lot of wrong. But I think about that sometimes, man. I have these like weird delusions, bro. Like when I walk into a department store, a lot of times I think about like, okay, if I had like unlimited money, like what would I get? Like, and I wouldn't buy the whole store, but I'd only buy select things, right? But also with the homeless person, like if I gave this person like $200, like how far would they let it go? Like how far would they take it? You know, I always think about that. If I just had money to blow, and I would just like discreetly give it to poor people that I saw. Well, there's no such thing as discretion when you change someone's life with money, but you think about how much power it would give you. And it makes me more excited to like the cool things, like the nice things I could do than the stuff that I could do, like buy myself a car or whatever. Like I would just be so cool to like buy stuff for other people, man. You know, like my brother loves football. Like if I was a billionaire, if I just made like a football facility just for him, like that he could just like do his training and stuff in. Like my dad, he loves Ferraris, and I don't think he's ever like rode one before, and I was like, what if I give my dad a Ferrari? Like that's the kind of stuff that makes me think about like, man, money is pretty dope.
Reminds me of like football players who buy their mom's houses.
That's a classic
like that,
one. Or like
a car or something like that.
I mean, giving always feels better than getting. You know,
it's true.
I mean, I want to get my parents what they want too, you know.
Right.
I mean, one of my goals is to retire them, so it's like
that'd be sick.
Just that feeling, but then thinking like
you would like make the news, man, like son of the year.
I mean, everyone does that.
I don't know, man.
A lot of people.
Don't do that though.
Yeah,
man.
that is
like,
true.
Don't make that assumption.
You make the local news. I'm gonna say in the world news.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'll take it. But I mean, just thinking of like all the money that your parents dish out to you throughout, you know.
Oh yeah, my parents were so nice, like so good to me, I should say.
Yeah.
They gave so much.
Like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think about that too. Like, how much have I accumulated my existence? Like,
Yeah.
how much have I accumulated?
Right?
It's gotta been so much, bro. Yeah.
So it's like just to pay them back even a little bit.
I used to have that philosophy, but it's like, and my friend had a big problem with this too. He's like, I feel bad my parents are buying me stuff. And I was like, at a certain age, you should feel bad, right? Like if you're like in your late 30s, like, you know, you should try to get it together.
Yeah.
But when you're younger, man, like that's your parents' job. Like I used to feel kind of guilty. My parents bought me stuff, but I was like, this is what it is to be a parent. Like I might as well enjoy it now while I have it.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a cruise one time, a family vacation, and this guy was like, yo, man, who are you here with? And I was just like, oh, I'm here with my family. He's like, wait, you're on a family vacation? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, your parents paid for this, man? He's like, enjoy it, bro. He's like, this is expensive, man. I'm telling you, bro. He's like, enjoy it while you can. And I never forgot that, you know? And it didn't make me mooch off my parents, that conversation, but I always had that in my head, like, this isn't going to last forever. So, but I get it with the paying back thing, because it's also like the emotional stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I've made my mom cry before. I think we all have in some capacity. So it's just like,
it feels so good.
Yeah.
And
For
it feels
good and
so
bad
much,
reasons.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like, I mean, it feels so much better. Like, yeah, it'd be awesome to own your own Ferrari, but after a week of driving it, you're like, all right, it's just any other car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It would
it's
be
only
like that.
It's only the things that you really, really love that never get old.
Isn't that crazy? That's like, yeah, I still can't get over that, how it's like that. Like the things that you really, really love, they're the things that you could lose the easiest too, but they're also the things that you could never buy. Like that's, it's such a weird conundrum life has made, man, because a lot of my philosophy is predicated on, you know, you can work hard and you can achieve pretty much anything you want. It just takes a lot of time and like a lot of stress and a lot of pain. But then sometimes you just get these blessings in your life that you didn't earn, and they become like the most valuable things to you, like relationships and families and stuff.
Well, yeah, everyone gets a break sometimes.
But yeah, just like blessings, like just having people in your life. Like how much of that is really your doing? Like these people are kind of in your life because, not because you're a good person, just because like you have good people in your life, man. Like you're blessed. There's a lot of good people that are alone. So
well, don't you think that comes with, you know, I guess being a good person?
Yeah,
you know, you believe in like, you know, the energy argument where like what you put out, you get back in. You put out positive things, you generally attract more positive people.
Yeah.
Negative things, more negative people.
I believe in that. I don't believe it's to the level of like The Secret, where like
right,
you can just imagine something and then it happens based off your imagination. What I'm saying is like, there's a lot of wayward kids out there. There's a lot of bad kids, man, and their mom is the only person that's defending them, or like their uncle or their brother is always getting them out of situations, and they have no reason to defend them anymore because you know, they've just been so obstructive to their family and the ones that they love. They did nothing to deserve this brother, this family member that keeps sticking up for them, but like they're there. And what if that person dies, man? Like, that's something that you can never replace. So
Mm-hmm.
I try, and that's a comforting thing for me, man. Like, no matter how much I accomplish, I already have innate blessings in my life that happened way before I was born that will always keep me grounded, dude. I feel like this conversation is going out of control, but I guess what I'm saying is like money's awesome, and people who have money are generally more
Moral of the
happy,
story.
and you can get so much for everybody, man. But at the end of the day, dude, it is making people happy, because you can make your parents happy with something else just as happy that wasn't Ferrari related.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
very true.
Like, you could just like coming home for Christmas, like when you live in another state, like that's like a Ferrari
Yeah.
to your parents.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. This blessing stuff that is so limited, and it's like for a day or for an evening, that's like worth as much as a Ferrari. That's
Yeah.
why life is so weird, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree, because there are people that you really take for granted.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about, say, some of your relatives that you might see once or twice a year through holidays and stuff like that. In essence, say if they're 75 years old and you only see them during the holidays and they're going to die when they're 85, hypothetically,
Yeah.
you're only going to see them 10 to 15 more times in your entire life.
It's crazy
So
to think about.
putting it in
yeah.
perspective
Wow.
like that, you really
Yeah.
appreciate every interaction that you have with those people.
Right.
And just try to make the best of it,
Right.
but materialism aside, you
Right.
know,
Exactly.
just embracing their presence.
But at the same time, you can't let the gravity of that event overshadow the time. Like, you can't look at your grandparents, and be like,
Yeah.
they're gonna die.
Yeah,
Because I feel like
exactly.
when you're a kid, you do that. You look at old people and you're like, whoa, are they gonna die? And it's just like, you got to cut that out and just focus on the now. Because we're full circle right now, where we started off talking about not getting attached to anything, and now we're talking about the reason why that is. Because if you get attached, you ruin the moment, dude. And it's just training your brain to do that, I guess.
Yeah,
So full circle with that.
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got pretty deep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is crazy. I'll say one story. In my town, very small town, Newfield. Last week, a house just exploded.
Like a gas? There was a gas leak?
Gas leak.
Okay.
It exploded. A little smaller than this house, but close. Completely obliterated.
Wow.
And like both of the people were in the house, they died.
Sheesh.
And it was like a family friend. They weren't related, but our family knew theirs. But it's really like you never know the last time you're going to see
Right.
another person. Like I run around town and I run by this guy's house, and a couple weeks ago he was out doing yard work, and I stopped and we talked, and one of the nicest guys ever. And you never think that, oh, this is going to be the last time I see him.
Right.
And then that happens.
Yeah, man.
And it's just, it's so crazy.
There was this karate instructor that visited our middle school when I was younger. And this guy was healthy, man. Like, he was a martial artist. Like, he was high kicking, doing all that stuff, like splits. And the guy died of a heart attack, man.
While you were watching his demonstration?
No, in his 30s, after the demonstration. It was like 2 days after. We found out there was news at the school that like this karate instructor like died, and he was in his 30s, man, heart attack. Like, the weird thing is that guy would never see that coming. Like, he was in such good health.
Yeah.
I think about that too. I took my blood pressure and my heart rate the other day, and I was like, I'm pretty good, like, and this is a result of me working out and being healthy. But like, dude, that's the thing, like, you spend so much time being fit, right? And you could die just by getting hit by something.
Yeah.
Or getting bit by something.
Yeah.
You could be bit by like some mosquito that carries a disease. Like that whole show, like, what is it, 1,000 Ways to Die? Like,
Yeah.
that's real, man. That's the feeling you get when you pass your neighbor. Like, yo, I didn't know that I was never gonna see this guy again.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you got to deal with, is like, there's 1,000 ways for me to die, but I can't even focus on one. 'Cause
Yeah.
me focusing on one would be distracting from the now. So
Very true.
if I die, it's the whole Rocky thing. Like, when what's the guy's name? That's the guy who kills Apollo Creed.
Drago?
Before. Drago, yeah. If he dies, he dies. That's how you gotta say it to yourself, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be like, if I die, I die.
Yeah.
So that's like the most hardcore thing you gotta do. That's the second obstacle
fucking
you gotta
cold,
overcome, bro. That's the second obstacle you gotta overcome. We talked about facing our fears, and then the other one is accepting you're gonna die. And to be honest, yo, when I was young, I had a serious problem with that, and I still think
With
about
dying?
it every night. Yeah. I really did.
I did
really
too,
did.
honestly. Did you? Because, like, I don't know. Like, I remember, yeah, like, when I was a kid, I would have these, like, crazy fucking thoughts about death, too. And, like, I usually didn't talk about them because I'm like, wow, I must be some kind of fucking freak. Like, I'm, like, having these thoughts this young.
Yeah.
What was the first time you saw something die? What triggered that?
I don't even think it was seeing something die. I just remember Christmas. I remember it was Christmas, and I was going home from my aunt's house. And I remember being in the car by myself as I was waiting for my family to get out and bring the presents and everything. They had already put me in the car. And I just remember just this overwhelming fear come over me because I was just like, it was almost like I had such a great day. It was such a great Christmas. And I'm just like, there's only so many more Christmases I'm going to have.
Snap,
and like,
That's
at some point, at some point, like this, I don't know if it was as sophisticated as I'm explaining it now, but like the gist of it was at some point, I'm never going to have this experience again. And like that shit fucking terrified me. Like, cause I guess at that point, I must have been like 6 or 7 at the time, maybe a little younger, but like I was having thoughts of like, what would I be when I wasn't me? You know what I mean?
Dang.
But like, I mean, it sounds like you had the same thoughts.
No, I mean I did.
You're like, no, man, that was way too fucking far.
Well, you were actually smarter because I think that's a smarter way to look at it. Is like you're in a good time, and then you're like, wow, man, this good time's not gonna last forever. Like I feel.
Has that ever made you sad though? Because like I've experienced that
Totally,
where like
man.
I'm in a great fucking spot. I'm feeling awesome.
Yeah.
And then this thought comes like, this is only temporary.
No,
you know?
totally.
I get like kind of sad from that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the beginning of the podcast, all about like just making a note of when you're happy, not getting too into it. But my first experience with death is I was in preschool, and I'm really into reptiles now. I was way more into them back then, dude. Like that's all I talked about was like dinosaurs and lizards and all that stuff. So I had a biology class in preschool, and they had these firebelly newts in the class, and I was like, these are awesome. And I remember at the end like of the, I guess you would call it, second semester of preschool, I was like, can I take these home? And my preschool teacher was like, yeah, like you can take them. And I was like, what? So
That must have blew your
I had
mind.
a pet. Yeah, I had a pet now because we had no dogs, we had no cats. I didn't have any pets growing up, and this is like the first thing ever. And I loved these things, bro. I'd give them worms. Like I would go outside and find a worm in the ground and just put it in the tank. Like I was just drawing, man. Like that was not even what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give them bloodworms, like the ones that turtles eat. I was just a kid, man. I used to take them out, put them on my hand, like do all that stuff. Never mistreated them. My dad used to clean the tank. I used to help him out, and they died. The way that Chinese firebelly newts typically die is they bloat up to like look like balloons, and their tongue bloats up, and it looks like there's a balloon in their mouth.
What?
And it's almost like their eyes pop out.
Do you know why that happens?
I don't know why, but it's something I think with the organs combusting. So I
Wow.
saw that when I was a kid, and I was
Did that freak you the fuck out? Like, did you have nightmares?
horrified. I was scared beyond belief. I was like, Dad, something's wrong with my pets.
So you're telling me your teacher didn't warn you about that?
Yeah,
She's
my-
just like, I'm gonna let him figure it out on
My
his
teacher
own.
was probably like, "An animal's died." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "We'll come back, right?" So like, I just looked at this thing and I was like, "What is wrong with this? What's wrong with like my pet?" And my dad was like, "Oh man, this thing is dead." And I just immediately started crying. Like I was like, "You mean like it's not gonna walk around again?" My dad's like, "No, this thing is wrapped, bro. So we need to go." I was like, "What do we do
Very
now?"
straightforward.
Right?
from
Yeah.
Pops.
My dad was just like, he's like, I was like, "What are you gonna do now?" He's like, "We gotta bury it, man." He's like, So I had this little box that we put batteries in because they're so small. It was a cardboard box, and we put them both in there together. And they're both males now that I think about it because they were constantly fighting. But anyways, so we put them in a box, and I went outside in my backyard, and my dad had me dig a hole, and I was like digging a hole, just crying, just like really, really crying. And my dad was like, "All right, man, like that's deep enough. Now you can put it in there." So like put it in there, like I was just like, "Dad," I told him, I was like, "This is so unfair. Like I love them so much." And my dad was like, "Dude, that's what this is, man." And he goes, "You know, God blessed you with those things, like to take care of them." He's like, "And you took care of them, man." And he's like, "Now it's their time to go." He's like, "That's like a lot of things that you're gonna go through."
That's a nice way to put it. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about when, like, nothing against my mom because she meant well, but this is how I remember it. So my first dog, his name was Snoopy. I fucking loved him. He was great. Like always hanging out. He had his own chair. He would sit down, hang out, watch TV with us. You know, just the man. You know, he was, getting older in years and he was starting to deteriorate. And then one day my dad, he did this thing when he was older where he would just like walk in between your legs. Like, we don't know why he would do it. He just started to do that. Maybe because he was starting to go a little blind. Either way, he started to do this. My dad came home one day, and he walked in the door, and then my dog like did what he usually does at that point, and my dad actually stepped on his foot, caused a crack. Like I think we think something was wrong there. I think maybe there was a blood clot, but his foot just started to swell, man. It was bad. So we had to call the vet. We had to put him down. You know, it was either that or like wait for this to progress for over the next few days. But it didn't. You know, it didn't look good. And I don't remember if my parents told me to stay. If they told me like they wanted me to see my dog die, I don't know. Or I decided to be with him. That's all a blur, really. All I remember is I was with them when they euthanized him.
Dang.
And yeah, I mean,
How old were you?
I must have been like, honestly, I was older, so it wasn't as bad. I was probably like 8th, 9th grade.
Okay.
But that I'd never really experienced like anyone close to my family or like a pet like dying yet. So that was my first experience with that. Thankfully, I'd say it's pretty long to go without having like a loved one die. But it was scary, man. Like, I mean, not quite the experience that you had with like a fucking like blow up tongue, but I just remember them doing it, and like I like to think he went peacefully. I would much rather him have gone through that than having to suffer for the next few days. But I just remember specifically looking at his eyes, and like I could just like tell the moment that he was gone.
Dang,
yeah,
that's
like,
crazy.
You just see the light go out of it, and like I don't know how to describe it other than that. You see like a change in their eyes where they're not there anymore, and that stuck with me for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember like the next few days I was like I bawled my eyes out, but I remember the next few days I was just like moody and grumpy and all this stuff until at one point my mom, who was a nurse, so she saw people die all the time at this point. She was just like, Ryan, you gotta get over it. Like literally, like everyone dies, like kind of like a matter of fact way, and like I got over it, I guess. But like I don't know, it was
an interesting approach, man.
Yeah, I think she was just tired of me like moping about it, and maybe I needed to hear that. But I guess it just like really made me upset, especially because it was my first experience with something I really cared about, like just being taken away from me.
I wish my mom did that with me, because like they kind of let me mope for a little bit. So like we're getting back to the thoughts of like death, and I want to hear your story in a minute, Brad, because we both shared. But so after they died, right, I had that moment where I was like really moody. And so my mom, we didn't have any like cable or anything. My mom was like, let's go to the library. Like you can like rent a movie or whatever. So I was like, whatever. So I went and I rented Fantasia, Disney's Fantasia.
Ooh.
And I was down here and I was watching it on that TV, dude. I was watching it on that TV. I was sitting in a chair and I was watching it. And there's a scene where like the flamingos are dancing and people are laughing. And I remember thinking to myself explicitly, I was like 11 years old. I was like, in a world where we're all going to end up like that puffed up little newt that's like just its tongue is swelled up and it didn't die with any dignity, in a world where that is a reality, I was like, how can anyone be happy? I remember like that's what I was thinking. And I was just like watching that. I was like, how can anyone like laugh and dance and stuff like that? I was like, this sucks. And like I never had that moment, where they're just like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Which is not your mom being insensitive. It was kind of like your mom telling you like this is a reality that you have to deal with.
Yeah, at the time I was really angry she said that to me, but like you're right, like you gotta face things sometimes. I guess that's another theme of what we're talking about. Like sometimes you just need to deal with what's happening in your life and not just ignore it, not just like what was that Cowboy Bebop example? Close the door on it.
Yeah,
you gotta face it, you gotta really think about it, and you gotta move on, and hopefully you're a better person for it.
Right. Did that make you better when she said it like that?
No, like I said, at first I was really angry. I was just like, why can't she just let me mourn? But like
right.
Like there's a point where you gotta toughen up about certain things.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't be sad for them and like be thankful that they were in your life, but you definitely can't give them that power over you for too long. Because like if you're mopey for like years after that, that changes like how you act, who you are, how you deal with other people. Cynicism, I guess. It just makes you cynical about everything.
Yeah.
When you lose something that important to you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't really remember a time when I was young and lost someone. I mean, I do remember my grandmother died when I was pretty young, but I was just way too young to even really have good thoughts about it.
Yeah.
But as of recent, there's been quite a lot of deaths in my life, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
I appreciate that, but I feel like as we get older, our parents and that generation is only getting older, so it's only inevitable that we're going to be experiencing more loss as we get older.
Yeah, of
and
course.
then that cycle just keeps continuing. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy because someone like our age that I know died recently of a drug overdose, and
It's rough.
it's like I was talking to her because I knew like what was going on, and in the beginning of the year I was talking to her, trying to like, talk her up and stuff, and said, we got to get together, just talk through things. And then like a couple months later, never checked back around to set anything up, and then this happens. And I don't know, it's crazy, like as you get older, how you look at death. I feel like because of all these experiences that have been happening, I'm kind of like getting numb to these experiences.
I think maybe numb is the wrong word. I think you understand that it's a normal part of life.
Yeah. But even something like someone our age, to even make sense of that, it's like,
Yeah, definitely.
and to even think like I could have maybe influenced it, I mean, I could have met with her, maybe something I would have said would have changed her
Right.
thought process. And everyone says, don't think that you could have made anything better. But
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, kind of what we were talking about before about, like, I believe in Eastern philosophy, and that like there's more about that caused that to happen than just you not talking to her a second time or a third time or a fourth time. You know, there's other things at play that led to her doing that again. So
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily think too much about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what everyone says. It's just crazy,
Yeah.
to think life is so precious.
It is,
You
man.
know?
Definitely. I had a dude that I played like intramural soccer with all my life growing up as a kid, and my junior year of college, like my dad called me and was like, yeah, like he was crossing the street to go to work, he got hit by a car, he died, he left a kid, and those are the things like that was the first time that I dealt with someone my age dying that I knew growing up, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
like how. You
Yeah.
know, like you still think of them doing something somewhere else. You know,
Exactly.
like living a life, having a family, I guess, in his case. You know, and then when all of a sudden he's trying to go to work, crosses the street, and bam, he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. But, and I think stemming off of that, even though the possibility of death could be right around the corner, I still think it's important that we still plan for the future and, keep progressing forward. Like I got some friends where, say a friend passed away that's our age, like another one earlier in the year. And, they're saying like, fuck this, I'll just do whatever I want. I could die tomorrow. But it's like, even though, you could die tomorrow, the likeliness of that happening is so slim.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to keep doing shit to move you forward.
Especially here in America.
Yeah.
But like, isn't that so weird they say that? Like, you could die tomorrow. Yeah, you could also live tomorrow.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
just as likely.
Look at the bright side.
You know?
We got glass half full.
I feel like you should bottle that you might die tomorrow into like a little like Coke-sized bottle and drink that sparingly. And what I mean by that is there's moments in your life where like that's appropriate. It's just like you only live once. Like if you're really deliberating over like, should I buy this thing that I've wanted forever? Like you should drink that a little bit. Like I might die tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like you shouldn't douse yourself in it. Like
Yeah.
that's so dangerous.
I like
man.
that.
And it's
Definitely.
just not, it's
Everything in moderation.
right.
Mhm.
But so when you went up, we were talking about Sisyphus, right?
Yeah, the legend of Sisyphus.
I just want to bring that up because you said in
Do you
the
know who that is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Sisyphus is the guy in Greek mythology that would push that. He was. I forget why he was punished, but he was punished by having to push a boulder up a ledge for eternity.
Okay.
And when he got to the top, it would roll back down, and he would have to do it all over again. So
yeah,
you want to dive into it?
Well, we were talking about that because it kind of is in alignment with feudalism, I think it's called, where it's just like everything is futile, right? So you said in the face of death, you still have to plan out your day and strategize towards your goals, right? It's the same thing because in the end, I mean, it's different because you could reach a level of success that extends to the family that outlives you, your children and so on, right? But with Sisyphus, right, it's just like I'm doing all this work when ultimately I'm going to die and no one's going to be here to push up the rock. So it's not like the rock landed on the ledge, right? It just rolled back down. So, but what Ryan was saying is that Sisyphus, according to him, was happiest when he was pushing the rock.
This was an essay I read about it.
Right.
Like I forget some philosopher, I forget his name,
Right.
but he was just his whole argument that he did all this hard work to push it out the ledge, but there was actually happiness in that because he was focusing on his goal and he was focusing on pushing it up. So he didn't have time to think about being happy. He was just living his life.
Yeah.
So because of that, he couldn't help but think he was happy as he was doing that.
Yeah.
Basically,
We're all Sisyphus.
as defeat as much of a defeat as it seems, just pushing that up only to have it go back down again.
We're all Sisyphus, and it's even more ingrained in us because you know exactly how tomorrow's going to go to a certain extent. You're going to wake up at a certain time. You got to commute to your job. You got to do a few things, and then at a certain time, you got to go back home. That's Sisyphus, right? That's pushing the boulder up the ledge. That's exactly what it is. I don't have a day where tomorrow I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, man. Like, I could be anywhere. There are people in this world that have that kind of day, you know? But, like, I feel like that's not something that is going to make you happy if you have that all the time, right? And I'm not saying a 9 to 5 is going to make you happy either, because that does quite the opposite for most people. But at least having some sort of structure in the face of this nihilism of I'm going to die, so what's the point anyway? You still got to have that structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could die tomorrow. Maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe you could die tomorrow, but like, if you don't, dog, what's gonna happen? It's like that. What was that? Y24K, that thing where they thought all the computers were
Y2K.
Y2K, and like everyone sold like everything they had. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
world's gonna end, bro. Might as well sell it all and just have the biggest party of all time.
Yeah.
Or the 2012 thing. The Mayan calendar's up, bro.
Oh, dude,
It's time
you know
to turn
what?
up.
Fuck the Mayan calendar. I believed in that growing up.
yeah.
I would watch the news and that would come up every few years.
Yeah.
That shit would scare the shit out of me.
I'm saying-
it really scared the shit out of me.
Once it's
I
January,
feel so stupid now.
Once it was January 2nd, dude. Like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this guy. He was this preacher. He's like, the rapture's gonna come back. God's gonna come back in 1996. Everyone, we're committing group suicide right now because we will not be around for the rapture. And just like life goes on. Like that's the craziest thing ever, man. So you're Sisyphus. So don't take it too seriously. I guess death is super serious, but you can't take it serious. Like I feel like that's the dichotomy. What do you? What about to say?
I guess relating to that, it's kind of like old guys that always say if old guys, an example would be like a barber. So this one guy in town near me, he's like 90 some years old, and he's there every day cutting hair.
Savage, bro.
Yeah,
Savage.
and like the one guy that I know that goes to him, he says like when are you gonna stop? And he's like, the day that I stop, I'm gonna die.
I hear a lot of
hands.
people in hospitals say that too.
Yeah.
They say once you stop moving, you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Because you're keeping your mind focused on something.
You have a
higher
purpose.
Than, exactly. And then once you stop that, then it's like, what am I even doing? I'm just sitting here watching TV all day.
You have no reason, to go on. That's what Customato said when he was training Mike Tyson. He said that he's like, I would have died a long time ago. He's like, watching this kid grow gave me a reason to live. And he's like, that's how I've lived so long. And I believe that that's true, man.
Yeah.
Dude, Nietzsche is a philosopher. He said that too, that anyone with a why can bear almost any how.
That's a
that.
dope philosophy.
I
man,
love
yo.
that.
I feel like this Andrewcast is like philosophy talk. That's one of the coolest, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Anime,
honestly.
philosophy,
Always.
hip hop, everything.
No, last time Brad was on, we got really deep into some stuff, man.
That's
But,
cool though. I mean, hip hop and I think hip hop and anime both go into philosophy deeply.
No, I think so. Yeah, hip hop is like somebody's expression about how they see the world, essentially. Like it could be about making drugs, but it could also be about other stuff, man. But I don't know, making sense of your world, like I said before, like naming things and saying what they are. That's what you got to do, man. And I don't think there's any like one definition that overrules everything. But yeah, that's a really good point. The hairdresser dude that's 90 that's still cutting people's hair. You think he could retire, right? You think he's got enough money?
easily.
Most people would think he
Easily.
would want to retire.
Yeah, but what's he gonna do?
He loves cutting people's hair that much. That's so cool.
Yeah, but it's like that's his purpose.
He
you
probably
know?
cuts a nice head of hair too.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. His hands are probably shaky by
I
now.
was gonna say,
I
he
would
probably
think.
got arthritis, God forbid, man.
Yeah.
Just cramped up hands, But yeah. See, I guess one of my goals in life is to find something that I can do like that old man is doing. That I just don't even care, man. Like I'm 90, like I still want to do this. I
Yeah.
feel like when you find that, that's where the magic happens. man.
Exactly.
That's where you achieve greatness.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know I won't be knocking on doors when I'm 80,
Of course not.
but I do want to find something where, it's just fulfilling every single day,
Right.
and you don't even got to worry about it.
Yeah, man.
You know.
What about you? What do you think about that?
What specifically?
Finding something like a career that's a lifelong thing. Like,
Yeah, man, I would love to find that.
but I'm saying, like, would you rather retire? I guess that's what I'm asking.
No, I think I originally thought that, but honestly, if I find something I really like to do, I think I would try to do it as long as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in that also. Like I just think the person I'm very high energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to stop something, I would just get antsy and be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, I'm more active than passive.
So you would never pick up like an old man hobby, like when you're old, like going fishing or like doing some random stuff.
I mean, maybe because in my eyes, that's still doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I said, like if I were really to find something that you like consider my life's work, then no, I would never want to quit it because that's exactly what it is, my life's work. It's not gonna stop until my life's over.
Shoot, that's another way of looking at it too, man. I want to draw when I'm really old because I'm curious like what I'm gonna draw when I'm an old man.
Probably some crazy fucking shit, some
Yeah.
weird shit. You just don't fucking care anymore.
You think so?
You gotta draw whatever's in your head, like literally whatever's in your. You're not gonna care who sees it
Maybe, yeah.
because old people just start giving a fuck.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything. Like I mean, I'm thinking of it from a healthcare perspective,
Do you think
but
it's
like
death that does that or experience or both?
Probably both.
yeah, I'd say both. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you could die, you're more likely to die as you get older, right? I mean, that's just the thought process because the longer you go, the more probability is that something's going to happen to you. Like,
Right.
we all die eventually.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think you were just like, fuck it. Sometimes to certain things, you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And with more experience, you know what to give energy to, what to
Right.
be, what to have bother you.
Yeah. I feel like when I was younger, old people were always rattling my cage. Like they're always trying to get a reaction out of you. Like they're like, "Come on, man, you gotta do this," and it's just like, maybe not. It's like, "What are you, chicken or something like that?" And so when I was a kid, I was like, "What's up with old people, dude? Like they just have no chill." But I think it's like the experience thing is the other half of that. So there's death, but there's also the experience thing where it's just like they're trying to get you out of your shell. Like they're trying to engage you because there have been situations in their life where they were just like engaged and they had no control over it, and so they try and do that to you as a young person to like get you come out. You know, I think you could relate because maybe you were like being shyer when you were a kid. Like old people would try and do that stuff.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I think it's really like lack of experience as we're younger. You know,
Yeah.
like that one, the first relationship we get into,
Oh, yeah.
when that girl breaks up with us, we think it's the end of the
Oh
world.
man, dude,
Like
yeah.
we think we're gonna die. It's like, how can I live my life without this person?
Dude, you know, like I mean, fuck, man. Yeah, you're bringing me back. It's fucking tough, dude.
Right?
Like you're just like, and then you look back on it and you're like, why did I even think like that at
Mhm.
all? Like, like life really goes on. Like
Yeah.
we're all different people than when we were in our big relationship.
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy to look back and think how different you were and like how it probably, if you were to still become the person you are now, how it probably wouldn't have worked out anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, where would I be now if I was still with that person?
Oh, yeah,
after
that's a
all
whole-
them years.
Mhm.
You know?
That's the biggest mystery. You think about that a lot, don't you? Like, you know, you think about. It's always the what ifs, and I've had someone say like try and live your life with like the least amount of what ifs as possible. But that's a big what if. You think about that, right? And I feel like the more you think about that, the more you come to the conclusion that you just came to. It's just like why? Like why was I so worried about this, man? Because you get exposed to so many other things within that time span that you see like there's like an endless amount of possibilities. Like there's more than one way to make what you want to work. Not necessarily with that person. You know? So that's a crazy one. But yeah, that initial heartbreak that you experienced as a young man, that's definitely a life-changing thing.
I hope everyone goes through that. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like there's some people that stick with someone just not maybe there are rare cases of like love at first sight, high school sweethearts that make it work their entire lives, but I think there's something to be gained from, you know, being in a committed relationship and then just having that end. And, you know, just the growth that comes from that. I'm not saying that you need to have it done to you, but I'm saying it definitely helps. And if you're someone who stays in a relationship for the sake of staying in the relationship
Yeah.
and not because like it's actually what
Yeah.
you want, I think, you know, would be very good for you to at least experience that once.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, because people just get so used to the everyday thing. They're just stuck in their habits. It's comfortable for them.
Yeah, I hear people
Comfortable
complain about
is a
their.
big one.
So here's something my dad always used to say to me growing up, and I think it's always stuck with me. And I don't think I really understood it until I broke up with the person that I spent a long time with. we would always go to family events, and like I have certain uncles that like they would sit around, drink beers, and talk crap on their wives. Like they would just like do that, like my aunts and stuff, and like just complain about stuff they were doing. And my dad like would always talk about it sometimes and be like, yeah, like I don't understand like why they're always complaining about their wives. Like I don't know, like I have nothing to contribute to those conversations. Like I don't understand why they're always he just didn't cross his mind to ever complain about my mom like that, just to sit around like shit talking.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine like what must it be like to like be with someone where you just need an open forum to talk crap on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
There's also a tone to it too, It could be friendly and joking, but
fair enough. I wasn't actually there for them, so like.
But if you're doing every time,
Yeah.
you see those people, It's just like a thought that it's there all the time.
But you ever have friends that like you're with them and they're always asking for advice about their significant other, or they're always just like really complaining about them in a way where you're just like, why don't you just break up with them?
Exactly.
I have a theory about that. I mean, I think you just stated the theory is like they're asking you just to hear what you say so they can verbalize what to contend with in their own mind, because they already know what they want to do. What they want to do is get out of that relationship, right? What they want to do is find something new. You tell them to do the same thing, and then for them it's like, okay, how do I not take their advice? And that sounds that sounds really dumb.
How do I take everything you say and just not listen
but
to it?
That's what people do though, man, because they're just like, okay, he just verbalized exactly what I'm thinking, but that can't be, because you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be what I have to do. So now I have to talk myself down from it, Like, no, I can't, like, or they say, like, you're right 100%, and then you see, like, a week later, they're still with that person,
Yeah.
Like, the whole reason they're coming to you most of the time, and not all the time, is just so, like, they can have you verbalize what they need to contend with. Like, what do I have to get over to stay in my comfort zone?
Yeah.
Oh, all these points that you listed, all right, yeah, you're exactly right, I'm gonna do it, and then they just don't do it. It's so weird, but like that's how people work, man.
True.
They come to you with like for relationship advice and they don't take it. That's why like I try not to ever give advice. I try to just ask questions on like how they feel about things and like why that happened and why they think that happened and what they think is gonna happen in the future. I just let them answer their own questions, man, and then I just like it speaks for itself.
Yeah,
like, that's what I try and do.
They're so attached to their current identity.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. I think everyone's guilty of that at a point.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. It becomes in flux.
It's scary. It's scary to end something and like start on something new, becoming something new, because the reality of it is that you were a certain person with that person. Like they were a part of your identity. And now they're gone, and now you have to figure out all over again who you are without that person. You're trying to like go through everything that you did together, go through everything you did alone, but with that person in mind, and realize like what really sticks and what doesn't.
But there's also that unfair comparison phase that you have when you're starting a new relationship, where immediately you start comparing them to like the person that you were with in the past, which is the most unfair thing to do, because that they're not that person. So like
but that's what we do as humans, and I don't always think that's bad. Like you compare them so that you can make you can make a judgment basically of, is this more or less of what I want? I don't think it's bad to make judgments based on past experiences.
No, to a standard of what you want, but not like, oh, this person wasn't like Brittany, and like Brittany wouldn't have ever said that. It's just like, this person isn't Brittany. I'm sorry.
I mean,
sorry
I think
to break it to you,
if you're doing that though, you're still caught up on the old one.
Right.
You're still caught up in your old relationship, and you're not ready to move on.
Well, that's what I'm saying, But like initially, that happens a little bit. Like, of course, in your head, it may not be super prominent, but you compare everything they're doing to like the experience that you just got out of.
Like, I think they're still in your life at a point. Like even post breakup, like they're still in your life until like they leave your thoughts completely. Like you can you can think of them sometimes. Like every once in a while, you're gonna think about a past experience, but you're thinking about them like every day, every week, even every month. Like it's still there somewhat.
I got you, man.
Yeah, just like being aware that there's no absolutes, and that we're constantly changing and evolving, and this one person might be the center of your universe now, but going back to death and stuff like that, we're always going to lose people. So just being, embracing that
in one capacity or another.
Yeah,
exactly. You'll constantly find something to restructure your universe around. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
You may feel like you're at a loss, but the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. As
You
Journey
quoting
says.
Journey right now?
Yeah, as Journey says, the wheel in the sky keeps on
Oh,
turning.
Jeremy says that. That's a Journey quote.
I know, I said Journey. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
My bad.
not Germany, but France won today. Did you guys watch the cup?
I did.
Cool. Are you a soccer fan?
Not really. I watched some of it.
Yeah.
Basketball
But-
fan though. See
a
by
little
his
bit.
shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Philly
really
United.
hoping we were getting LeBron.
Philly United. Yeah, I think I did too. But I knew we weren't gonna get him. So
Yeah.
I really knew we weren't because I feel like basically with all the problems with the GM
Yeah.
and I guess how young our team is and
I feel
just
like we would've
just the
won.
LA name.
But I think we could have had a good chance at a championship. If we
Oh,
won.
I mean, you can make that argument about any team that
Yeah.
gets LeBron though.
That is true. It just I think the one thing the Sixers lack is like wisdom and the mindset
Experience.
of winning.
They lack experience.
Yeah.
They have two studs in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They have star power in Joel Embiid, who's going to make people want to come to Philadelphia.
Mhm.
I think Joel Embiid will attract other basketball players that are worthy of a championship.
He reached out to
Um,
LeBron on Twitter. You saw that?
Yeah, we need people like that. We
Yeah.
need people that are going to just go out and ask for what they want, like we talked about before. Like he's very in people's faces. Hey, he was fucking working out with Jason Tatum the other day. Do
Yeah.
I think Jason Tatum's going to come to the Sixers? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
But I do think that he's reaching out to other players and he's able to build relationships that could hopefully one day facilitate bigger stars coming to the city and starting something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But I mean, it's no wonder he's going to LA. That's just a better place for him to be.
Under Magic Johnson,
Yeah.
who
Not even basketball sense, just a life sense. You know.
oh yeah, I mean he has houses there. His kids can play basketball there with other big name kid stars.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like he can start movies. I hear he's already developing a movie.
Right.
I don't know.
Is he
like,
are they doing Space Jam?
I hope
That's
so.
what I
They,
heard.
it said it was like a comedy.
that'd be
Yo,
so
Space Jam
wild.
2 with
Right.
LeBron James,
First-
it has to happen.
First off,
Right.
It has to happen.
everybody would go see that.
Hell
And
yeah.
it would be super
I don't know
controversial.
why they haven't made it yet. I feel like I've heard over the past 10 years that it was coming and
Yeah,
it's
they
never
always
happened
say.
yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been LeBron. It's always been
Yeah.
LeBron that was the main guy because who else could it be?
I bet you there was like Kobe rumors like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, actually, I could see Kobe. I could definitely see Kobe now that he's retired. MJ didn't do that till he was retired, right?
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know
I'm
that.
asking.
I
actually.
think
Oh,
that's,
I'm not sure.
I think that is the case, because the movie starts out with him playing like baseball or something like
Oh,
that.
well,
right?
maybe
Yeah,
it
well,
was
he went
in
to the minor.
between-
He went.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had that stint in like the minor leagues,
Yeah, but,
right?
like that's what
Yep.
the movie starts out with, and then like he's thrown back into basketball, and isn't like the whole premise is like, man, I haven't played this in a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
he's,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
getting back into this.
Yeah. I haven't played with you tunes in a while.
He would definitely make a cameo in that movie. Like, you know
Oh,
what I'm
you
saying?
have
Like,
to.
He would
You
have
definitely
to.
make a cameo. It wouldn't be like a savior scene where like LeBron's losing and like all of a sudden like Michael Jordan comes out, because there's too much pride in that.
Mhm.
But there'd definitely be like a scene where like, I don't know, maybe he's in the bleachers with like the Monstars or something like that,
Uh-huh.
and like they're like sharing popcorn, just like real quick.
But like, what would be the plot? Like, we know LeBron's gonna be in it. We know that the Looney Tunes are obviously gonna come back. But what is the plot? I mean, they defeated the Monstars the first movie. They sent them back to their world, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Monstars kind of turned good at the end. They just went against their leader.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
I forget.
No. That is what happens. Isn't the leader is like this like little bug thing?
Yeah, the little douchey
yeah.
dude.
So I don't know. LeBron has to go golfing because that's how it works, right? So LeBron is golfing one day, and then he just goes like he loses his ball in the hole, and then Bugs Bunny pulls him through the exact same way. And then once they're down there, I guess I guess like maybe there's a another. Well, the whole Looney Tunes thing is like it's another dimension,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Monstars are now like they're drafting different NBA players, and they're transporting them there interdimensionally from like all across time. So like
Oh, that'd be dope.
yeah.
Is
So
that the actual plot or something you made up?
No, that's what I'm making it up right now.
Yo.
on the spot. So like
You pulled that from Dragon Ball Z Tournament of Power.
Of course I did.
Yeah,
dude.
no
That was
question.
one of the most successful arcs, so I would use it here now. But yeah, they're just pulling the Larry Bird, like just like players like from all across time, but they're being controlled, they're being manipulated. So it's just
Okay.
like You see like they're like red in their eyes or whatever, and the Monstars are controlling them. So like in order for LeBron to free them from this control, he has to beat them in this game. So like they have
with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
yeah,
and,
so it's the Looney Tunes versus like the best players in all of history,
okay.
except Michael Jordan.
But are they going to be like humans, or are they going to be like monster representations?
They're cartoon humans.
cartoon
Cartoon
humans. Okay.
bro.
Huh.
Cartoon humans.
Okay.
And that's how it is. That's the sequel.
All right,
Catch me out
you
right
heard
now.
it here first. Space Jam 2 featuring LeBron James and all the stars throughout the history of the NBA.
Ever, man. I'm telling
Big
you.
deal.
But you know how like in Longest Yard, did you ever see the newer one with Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
So like how that's like a remake of the
the
first.
Flying V.
Yeah.
We're making the Flying V.
So like how in the end of that one, Burt Reynolds comes out because he was the first one in the original one. I'm thinking maybe Michael Jordan comes out in the same way that Burt Reynolds does. Like in the end of the game, like I'm here to save the game when like the monsters are up.
Oh, snap.
You know
I
what I mean?
bet MJ can still ball.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, no question.
He probably just does on his own time. Like just to see like, yeah, I still got it. Like you could totally see him like
Yeah.
do something like
Yeah.
that,
No
right?
question.
What was I gonna say about Space Jam? That movie has so much product placement. It's like one long commercial. Now that you
Really?
watch it now, yeah,
Makes
it's just-
me
it's-
even-
It's just for Nike. Like it's just for Nike.
Makes
man.
me even
Like,
more confused as to why they haven't made a sequel yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's coming, dude. They just what it is waiting for people who were our age to grow up and have kids. Like that's what the people.
Oh,
that's
so
what the Hollywood
basically
people
we're
are
gonna
waiting
watch him. We're gonna force it on our kids. They're waiting for the right.
for. That's
time
what they're
to do
banking
that.
on, man. What are they making now? That's like a
The
remake of-
Incredibles too.
The Incredibles too.
Oh
16
yeah.
years.
I think there was a lot more that went into that than just like us growing up, though. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
But a majority of like our age people went to see it. I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah,
sure.
it was a great movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet.
Something's
but-
coming back in December that was like, oh, the Goosebumps movie. I was like, dude,
Goosebumps.
you have to be our age. You guys
Oh,
didn't read
oh.
Goosebumps?
No,
Yeah.
I did, but like, there's a movie coming out.
Yeah, there's a Goosebumps movie, Halloween, and I'm like, that's totally made for our demographic. Like now, everyone who read Goosebumps in the early 2000s, late 90s has grown up, and these Hollywood people are like, they'll totally go see the Goosebumps movie. So like, that's it. Like that's the math that they do. They just wait for that generation to grow up. They're like, oh, they'd be like 20, 23, 24 years old right now. Time to drop the movie. I
that's
feel like
smart.
that's how it works.
I mean, I didn't really read Goosebumps growing up because I didn't like scary things.
Mhm.
I was just like, fuck
Same.
that.
Yeah.
You know? Give me SpongeBob any day.
Right.
I don't know that they were like the covers were scary, but like the books were kind of silly. That's
Well,
what I
you know,
remember
the
from
cover is all I needed to see. I was
Yeah.
like, no, sir.
I stopped at the cover.
yeah.
Yeah, no, those covers were kind of intense. The one with like the girl with like the green mask. I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh snap, bro, that's
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, they're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It's like a live action movie.
Ooh, that's gonna be awful, but I'd go see that.
Jim Carrey.
It reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z live action movie.
Jim Carrey's gonna be Dr. Eggman.
Oh, I did
Eggman.
read that. I did
Yeah.
read that. It's
So- But yeah, it's the same thing. Like everyone.
you're not
from-
sold.
Not really. I love Jim Carrey, but
Well, you got to make him fat. So think about fat Jim Carrey. I can't wrap my head around it.
With whisker mustache,
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
whatever that is, like just corn,
Yeah.
or like I don't know, what was it, like spaghetti string,
Yeah.
a spaghetti string
Right.
mustache.
I'm calling it right now, and I'm a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. This movie's gonna suck, so I'm gonna reference this when the movie comes out. But
Yeah, I also think it will suck.
it's probably gonna
It's
be
like
bad.
like I said, the live action DBZ movie that sucked.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
that was a misunderstanding of the source material. You put Goku in high school. Like, have you seen Dragon Ball?
Wait, what? They put Goku? I didn't actually see it. I just
watch
knew
it?
it. I
Oh,
knew it
dude.
was. I knew it was terrible.
I watched it with bated breath. I didn't blink once during the whole movie. I watched like the whole entire thing. There was no Krillin. It was so silly. But yeah, I was gonna talk about things that you expect to be good, things you expect to be bad. They're live action Aladdin. That's what they're doing right now because it's gonna be live action.
oh, they bring
Lion
like
King.
Jungle Book and all that. That could be good.
Guess who's gonna be the genie?
Oh wait. Oh wait.
You probably know this one.
I don't. Are they taking sound clips from Robin Williams?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna say that too.
Because that would work.
That'd
They
be
would be
wild.
CGI, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they make a CGI
Yeah,
genie?
Just Tupac hologram him.
yeah, Tupac's the genie.
No, Will Smith is gonna be the genie.
I'd be cool with that.
See, like-
No, wait. Actually, let me think about that before I say I'd be cool with that. Because I don't want, like, what is it? Like, Wild Wild West Will Smith? Is it Fresh Prince Will
I
Smith?
think it's
Which
gonna be-
Will Smith
I
are
think
we
it's gonna be
getting?
Fresh Prince Will Smith. That's how I think it's gonna be, like this dude with flavor, or like Hitch Will Smith.
Hey, ooh,
Because
okay.
think about it, like Aladdin's trying to win a girl, like that's the whole premise of the story.
So he's gonna be a smooth
So
genie.
maybe he's a smooth genie.
Okay, so he's not gonna be jokey genie like in Disney,
I'm not-
Disney.
I'm not sure if
animated film.
we can sell that to the people in 2018.
Why
I feel
not?
like- because I feel like Robin Williams as the genie worked because he was super like animated, like he was a
Yeah.
cartoon, like he was making duplicates of himself and like transforming his face into like Al Pacino or whatever. Like he was doing all this crazy stuff, and that's why he was so loopy. But I feel like with live action, you got to make the character cool. Like it's hard to make them.
I see
animated.
what you're saying. Like they could use the animation as a way to personify the genie with
Yeah,
Robert Williams' reaction.
yeah, and that's just how I see it. But I don't know. But I don't think the Dr. Robotnik situation is gonna be good, but I can see that being good. Like I can see Will Smith as the genie being cool and everybody accepting it. You know, it's just certain things for certain characters. But also, like I haven't really seen Will Smith in a role where I was like, this is bad. But I haven't seen all of his movies. I didn't see Wild Wild West, which I hear is pretty crazy.
I haven't seen it in years, but I mean, I remember it being interesting.
I haven't seen Seventh Pound either. Which a lot
Seven
of
Pounds
people-
is a very good movie,
okay,
but I haven't seen that since I was like 14.
I hear a lot of people say that's not that great, but
They didn't like it. I thought it was pretty good. Sorry.
it's all good.
Excuse me.
But Pursuit of Happiness is probably one of the best. You know what I'm saying?
course.
But I just haven't seen him in a bad role. So I think like he could actually transform a character like the genie into something completely different.
What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're going to put him in the position where he can't fail.
Right.
You know, I mean,
In a lamp, you mean?
yeah, there you go.
Sorry, guys.
No, yeah. It's,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like he can do no wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like bigger than anything now. So.
Yeah. Except The Rock.
Yeah.
See, I can see the
Oh,
Rock. Being
maybe
the
The Rock.
What
Yeah.
Disney movie is The Rock gonna be in? Because you know he's gonna be in a remake.
Dude, could you imagine The Rock as Sonic?
Fighting Jim Carrey, I
That'd be so
would
stupid.
pay top dollar to go see that.
I'm telling. Okay.
You like yo. Can you imagine The Rock being like, gotta go fast?
Dude, it's just the Sonic that Rock movie would be the best movie ever if like The Rock was just dressed in regular clothes. They just put like 3 blue spikes on his head and like that's Sonic. Like he just does everything like The Rock does. He's completely normal, but like that's it. He's himself and he just runs around and he's Sonic. Like that'd be so good. I would pay to see.
I mean, it's gonna be awful anyway, so might as well throw The Rock in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Rock is the one person that can't do anything wrong. Like
Yeah.
I saw this trailer for a movie that was like about a building falling down, like skyscraper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, this premise is so dumb. Any other actor that was in that, it would completely bomb. I was
He's
like,
been-
this is so dumb. But
He's
because
been advertising that for months.
it looks
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, it is really dumb.
It looks stupid. Like it's one of those movies, and I hate when this happens.
It's a checkmark movie.
That exactly. And the way checkmark movies happen is you watch the trailer and you got the whole story from the trailer. You're like, I don't have to see this because like I know exactly what it is. Like when I saw the trailer for Hereditary, I still want to see that movie.
He's a vet. He has a prosthetic leg.
Yeah, I'm just like,
he
I've
has
seen
to
it, man.
overcome something,
Right, but, like,
despite his
I already
limitations.
know the family's
And
gonna
he
live.
succeeds in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna live.
They're gonna live. There's no consequence here, right? We just see the Rock like jump around. There's gonna be a scene where like I don't know, he has a flashback to the war or something.
Yeah,
like that.
no, definitely.
He's like, I let go of my buddy's hand, it won't happen again. Like it's one of those movies where you know what's gonna happen. Same thing with the Rampage movie. You're like, oh, this is Transformers. Like I can't stand. When I
Oh,
see
that movie looks so dumb. I would
Yeah.
never go see that.
I'm not into seeing like a movie trailer and I know what's gonna happen. Like for Quiet Place, bro. Did you see that movie?
No.
Yeah,
I heard mixed reviews.
is that a Rock movie?
That was
No.
one where it was like completely silent. Right?
John Krasinski, also known as Jim from The Office, wrote this movie and starred in it and directed it, and it's brilliant. You should see it.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay.
And I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, this was perfect. Like it was like the trailer was awesome and the movie was also really good. But like that's something you need to see. Like I'm into movies that are trying to do something a little bit different.
Mhm.
Like that's been my flavor for movies this year, man. Like I went to go see Sorry to Bother You. Did you see the trailer
No.
for that?
I'm been sleeping on movies lately. You gotta get
Me
me back to
too.
speed.
Brad, you would love this one because
Yeah?
this movie's all about selling and it's really,
Ah.
really good.
Hmm.
This guy, I'll give you just a brief synopsis. This guy is broke, man. He's completely broke. He lives with his fiance in his uncle's garage, but the uncle still wants rent. Like that's how crazy his situation is. So like, there's a scene where like he's trying to make love with this girl, and like the garage door like comes open. And he's like, "This, I can't live like this." So he goes to get this job. He sits down with the interviewer, and he has a trophy from high school when he played football, and he has this like bank employee of the month thing.
Mhm.
Both of them are fake, but he sells it to the guy like, I was employee of the month, and he's like, I was Hall of Fame or whatever in high school, and the interviewer is like, well, I did a background check. Didn't play football. Also, didn't work at the bank. He's like, but you almost sold me on it. He's like, so you got the job. And so the guy's like, oh, this is awesome. So he's like a cold caller, and like it's called sorry to bother you, because that's what you say a lot when you're like on the phone.
Okay.
Sorry to bother you, but I have a little offer.
Mhm.
And he can't sell. He just can't. And the movie does this really cool thing where every time he's in a call, he's at his desk with the phone up to him. He's at his desk like this, and the movie cuts to the desk dropping into the room of the person that he's talking to.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's really, really cool. So that happens a few
creative.
times, and it's just weird because there's a couple having sex, there's a woman that's crying, like just really beside herself.
Okay.
There's a dude that's about to have dinner with his family that doesn't want to talk to anybody on the phone.
Yeah.
So it shows you like what's going on, and he's interacting with the scene as if he's really there. So it's really, really
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah, but then the
Is it
whole-
still in theaters?
yeah, it just came out this weekend.
Okay.
But I'm not going to talk any more about it because I don't want to ruin the plot. The plot changing device comes in where this call center that he works at is a 2-story call center. So there's where all the regular callers go, and then there's this thing called the super callers. And if you sell enough, you get to go to the super caller level. It's above. So like his whole goal is to get there. And it's pretty crazy, man. Like the movie is definitely commentary on race in America, also like employment in America, changing yourself to fit other people. It's very complex, but also it's really, really fun. I'd recommend you see it, both of you guys. It was really
Heard.
cool. But yeah, that's been my flavor of the week, man. Is just seeing movies that are like weird and different.
How was that one you just said? Hesitation or
Quiet Place?
Quiet Place.
no, the other one. It was that one scary movie. Starts with an H.
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
I
How's
haven't
that?
seen it.
Oh,
I
okay.
just saw the
I heard it
trailer.
was really good from
Yeah.
a friend.
It's an example of a good trailer. Like I saw it and I was freaked out just by the trailer, so I knew it was gonna be awesome. Like how weird of a job is it to make like dollhouse replicas of people? Like, did you see the trailer?
No, I didn't even see the trailer.
Okay, so like the it's weird me talking about the trailer and I haven't seen the movie, but this woman, her mom dies, and her whole job is like she makes miniaturized versions of real life. Like she makes these tiny little figures that are like these little dioramas of life. So it's like a woman is sitting at a bedside and like there's someone sleeping at the bed. Like that's her whole profession. And it's weird, man. Like the way the trailer goes, like her mom keeps showing up in these dioramas and it's like spooky. It's just like when you watch it, you get like a weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's just an example of a trailer done right. But yeah, you guys, I guess, haven't been on the movie train. Too good reading books.
I mean, I
you know?
do have
Book
movie.
reader
I
here,
do
book
have
reader
movie
there.
pass, so I could see it whenever.
Oh, look at you, man.
I do.
You
I'm
got
a
the movie
big
pass.
shot.
Yeah,
I'm a fucking
what
big
happened?
shot,
You
man.
watched the commercial in the theater when they play it before the movie. And you're like, I should do this.
I actually found out about it on Reddit.
Ooh.
Yeah, I saw it on Reddit before it became like huge, and I was like, "This seems like a great idea." And then I bought it, and I was just like, "I have not used this in like 2 months." And then I tried to cancel it, and the service was actually awful. I emailed them, I called them, they never got back to me. So I kind of was just like, "Fuck it." And then all these good movies came out, and I still had it. I thought I canceled it, still had it, because I tried to cancel it on the app, and the app didn't work either. So that was awful, and they should do something about it. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
With that said,
We're
I've seen
sponsored
a
by Movie Pass, by the way. Put in a code at the end of this. No, I was just kidding.
With that said,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of great movies for only like $10 a month. I've seen like 2 or 3 movies a month for
Well,
$10.
Yeah, if
you know?
Sheldon was here right now, he'd be like talking your ear off about it.
Well,
He
Sheldon's like a
loves it.
tech wizard, you know,
Well,
like he's
also, yeah,
obsessed.
he just lives in movies. Though.
Oh, does he? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
That's the thing. Like he just loves movies.
Huh.
But
Sheldon, we miss you.
yeah, man. But I don't know, Brad. We'll see a movie sometime.
Yeah.
I think that's the move.
Yeah.
The last
that'd be
movie I
good.
watched with you was super weird, and we fell asleep during
Oh,
it.
dude.
That was years ago.
Yeah. What the hell? Something Mountain. I forget. I have a poster of it.
I thought it was like a Eraserhead or something. I remember the movie was freaking me out so much, but I was so tired I literally couldn't stay awake.
Yeah.
We all fell asleep, but I was just like, dude, this movie is the strangest movie I've ever seen.
There was a lot of like religious connections and political stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy Mountain or something like that. Yeah. The most insane movie I've ever seen.
It was
in my life.
nuts, bro. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe this is actually a cohesive like narrative in some respect.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we need to go see a movie, man.
Yeah.
We just need like that's a good idea for Andrewcast. We all see a movie and then we talk about
Just
it.
bring. I think I say like bring our mics to the theater.
Could
like,
you imagine how
live
crazy that'd be?
commentary?
I mean, then we could become a movie review thing, but I feel like it would take interesting conversation. Because there's always that point when you come out of a movie theater, and it's weird because you're coming from like a screen, just focusing on a screen, to like being outside.
Then sometimes you're just pissed off. something happens in that movie that you just doesn't sit well with you.
My experience is like it's like stepping out of an isolation tank. You're like, whoa, like this is the real world. Like, don't you get that for a little bit?
That's
and then
fair.
like you talk about the movie for a little bit, and then you don't.
You're all just quiet because you're used to not speaking for 2 hours.
That's
Trying
what
to
it
take
is.
it all in.
Yeah,
That's what it
exactly.
is. As soon as you leave the movies, you're like instantly quiet. I feel so awkward. I have to like try and talk to somebody after that because I just like I feel weird us all walking, 3 of us or 4 of us, and not saying anything.
Mhm.
But that's what happens right after you see a movie.
Sometimes you just gotta let it sink in though.
Yeah. But you can't be the guy who's like, "What's your favorite part?" Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, it's just let me think about this movie.
Yeah. That's very true.
That's cool, man. Yeah. It's 9:02 right now, man. So I'm not sure if you want to end, because I know you got to get back. This is probably
Yeah.
a good place to wrap it up.
I'm done to wrap it up.
All right, cool, man. Well, Brad, thank you for coming on, man. This
Yeah.
is episode 36. I'm not sure if like you can, if your Instagram is how you advertise your business. Or,
I mean, yeah, you can find me on Instagram, B_Mills.
yeah.
I just started a real estate page on Facebook.
Okay, cool.
Real Estate Services, South Jersey Real Estate Services by Brad Miller.
Awesome.
I'm actually planning to do some. I know I've said it in the past, but I'm planning to do like video content now for home buyers and home sellers.
Oh, sweet.
I was originally planning to do like a video series for first-time home buyers, and it
That's
was going to
cool.
be like a 5-part series. You know, every part maybe like 10 minutes, and just break down how to buy your first home. Because
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. They have no idea what the hell to do.
Mhm.
So I was going to do that, but then now that, you know, content's king, I'm going to take like all of them and kind of break them down into 1-minute segments, and then
Yeah.
have like a playlist on YouTube,
Awesome.
and then just cover like all home buying type things and home selling, and just get more into video and produce more content.
And is that going to be
myself.
under South Jersey Real Estate, or is that under
Yeah,
you?
I'll well, it'll be myself and South Jersey Real
Okay,
Estate.
cool.
Mhm,
Wow, I
I'll
can't wait to
release
see
it
that
on
happen.
everything.
When you launch that, I definitely want you to come back on so you can talk about it and promote it again.
Yeah,
because that sounds really dope.
Yeah, I'm actually trying. There's a local. I don't really want to talk too much about it because it's still in the works.
Yeah.
But there's this local news company that's pretty prominent in South Jersey. I'm trying to hook up with them and produce my content through them
Awesome.
because they have like 30,000 followers and stuff like that. And
Yeah, man.
I have a good relationship with them, so I'm trying to do something with them. And
That's really cool.
yeah,
Well, I hope you get that off the ground, dude. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
very
man. Best of
progressive.
luck.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So if you're by chance listening to this and you're interested in buying a property in New Jersey, this is the hookup
Yeah,
right here,
hit
man.
me up, man.
Yeah,
Be glad
exactly.
to help. Definitely.
Always. But Brad, thank you for coming on, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for
you
having
taking
me.
time out of your day.
Mhm.
This has been a very existential, death-focused, eye-opening episode of Andrewcast. I can never really tell where it's going to go, and I
Yeah.
think that's part of the appeal.
Mhm.
But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.